Joe Rogan Podcast. Check it out.
The Joe Rogan Experience.
Train by day, Joe Rogan Podcast by night, all day. Ladies and gentlemen, David Attell.
Hey, Joe. Thanks for having me on the show.
Good to see you, my brother.
I was telling your guys before you showed up, I was like, I'm hoping there's other guests besides me because I don't really think I'm interesting enough to hold the whole show.
We can do it.
You think so?
Yes.
All right, I believe in you.
I have zero worries. I'm glad you brought your straw.
Thank you.
And I'm also glad you brought your hobo sack.
I'll show everybody.
He's a comedy nomad.
That's how you travel.
That's
people.
all he brings. Fresh underwear and socks. That's it. Let's go.
Good to be back in Texas.
Good to see you. How was the Cap City? Did you enjoy it?
It was awesome. I mean, you and I back in the day played the old Cap City,
Yeah.
and that was definitely an iconic club. And this is the, I guess you can say, the reimagining of it.
This is the Helium folks who do an amazing job. The
Exactly.
Helium folks are great.
They really are.
That fucking place in Philly is the shit. The one in Portland is the shit. All their clubs are fucking locked down. They're all solid as a rock.
I totally agree with you, and they put a lot of work into
Mm-hmm.
it. And let's face it, this town, people will come to a show. They really are great comedy fans. So,
And I'm like so happy that that Cap City's open too. I want as many clubs open as possible. I think it's sustainable. I think there's a giant comedy audience here. People really love it. They love live performance overall. Like there's a lot of live music that goes on here. A lot of live comedy.
and
So we're happy.
Texas, I was going to say, like Texas has always been like, on the road, like Houston, Dallas,
Yeah, fun.
San Antonio. These were always like the hardcore, comedy clubs. The definitely where you like couldn't wait to get there. Kind
Yeah,
of
the
shows.
fun spots. I used to love Addison. That fucking improv was the shit.
Awesome.
It still is. Still is the shit.
And my
It's such a
favorite
great club.
Do you remember what was it called in Houston?
Laugh Stop.
The Laugh Stop.
That was the best.
That's where I learned to be a headliner. That's what I always think.
Yes.
That was the club where I really got it together, and I was like, I can hold an hour, right here.
Yes.
You know.
I did my first CD there.
Oh, you did?
Yes.
Well, there you go, man.
Yeah, that place is magic. That place was magic. I heard that spot is still there, which I was like, Jesus Christ. If that's the case, once we open up in Austin, I would love to open up a mothership in Houston.
Oh, absolutely, man.
If that place is still there, holy shit, that place is amazing.
Yeah, it's always been like, what I remember it was like me, Hedberg, and Patrice. Like, we would all like rotate through there. And it was
Yeah.
always like, if you ran into him, like, oh, man, I was just at the
Yep.
stop. I was like, oh, it must have been awesome. And, you'd be jealous,
Crazy ass Mark Babbitt ran a hell of a club.
He really did.
He
A
really
visionary.
did. Oh my God, he loved comedy. That's all it takes. It takes a crazy person that loves comedy who's willing to like go all out.
When the owner of the club, or the manager gets it,
Yes.
and then it's not just like a beer and beverage,
Right.
This isn't a Dave and Buster's. This is like a real place, like where people do something special.
Yeah.
Then you can always tell it feels different,
And he also had that long running open mic they'd do in the front. Mm-hmm. That front open mic was amazing. You would get there at 8:00 and the show would start, and then they'd start an open mic around the same time, and the open mic would go to fucking 2:00 in the morning.
Yeah.
Constantly rotating comics in there. It was an exciting thing. And when that place went under, it fucking, it took a lot of the steam out of the scene.
For sure. That's why your club, and you're real close now.
Real close, yeah.
Like that's honestly, that's a game changer, especially for this town and for for all of us road people. I'm a club guy. That's what I do. I do
Yeah.
clubs, so I can't wait to see it. I can't wait to get on that stage, if I may.
You 100% will be one of the first people on that stage. I'm going to put up the bat signal.
Oh, that would be
I'll
awesome.
send you in. It's exciting to be able to do. It's exciting to be able to do it with no stress, too, to be able to do it the right way.
Right.
And just have an amazing club set up for comics and the audience. And just make it so that like we do our best in every corner. Not fuck with people, appreciate them, treat them with respect. Uh-oh, mic's falling apart.
I'm good.
Appreciate them, treat them with respect, like encourage people to work and give open mic nights and have things like that where you have plenty of time and kill Tony and that kind of shit. Where you really encourage the community.
Definitely. You gotta. When the club also supports the locals, it's not just like for the headliners. That's when
Yeah.
you know it's like a real deal situation because, these local scenes, like I was just in Nashville, that scene is popping. Here, of course, it's out of control. And, it's getting the locals, on stage in front of a big crowd, that's
Yeah.
important.
getting them on stage in front of me, giving them those spots like the Kill Tony spots, and I've had a few of those guys like Hans Kim and William Montgomery and David Lucas, who started in L.A. but he's out here now too,
Right.
doing those shows with us there too, and they're exploding. And there's also a lot of room for other clubs too. There's a lot of room. There's so many comics here, man. Everybody who goes to these open mics out here, these guys who come, they go, dude, these kids are good. They're good and they're writing and they're energized. It's like it's an exciting time. And people are like really fired up about it. And you see like a real clear path to being a professional, which was always weird for us.
Right.
Like you remember the early days of open mic? There was no help.
None.
It was strange.
I don't know about you, like your I guess origin story, but like I had a job for like the first 5 or 6 years of comedy, and like I was such a bad comic that like I would sometimes go like, oh God, I can't wait to get back to my day job. Oh man, I can't wait to eat a muffin at my desk. You know, it was like that kind of a thing. So yeah, I know what these people go through, and even though there's like all these platforming and all that stuff, it'll always be the same. Like basically, whatever, I guess you could say the journey, has many roads, many twists and turns. So,
The journey does, but at least this way, I think there's a map of the landscape now.
For sure.
Whereas when we started, it was just, you were hoping that someone would take you on the road, or you were hoping that you'd get a road gig. You didn't know like how to, and you're doing like 5-10 minute spots in the beginning. If you're lucky, you get 10 minutes, right? So then someone says, can you do 20? And you're like, yes, but you really can't.
Right,
like,
of course, yeah.
So it's like you're opening at a bar with, at least 10 bullshit minutes.
And when you're in a town like I, started in New York, Long Island, all that stuff, there was a lot of open mics.
Yes.
So I was lucky where you can go to one place, like bomb and then skid mark your way over to the next one and, like suffer there and then the next one. So you got like a whole like night of sadness, whereas some kids, it's like, especially West Coast, it's like, oh, I got a spot, one a week. And then they kind of live with that kind of like trauma for a whole week.
It's better there now. It's better there now
Oh,
for
is?
the LA guys. You can actually develop in LA now. But in the early 2000s and the 90s, it was real hard. You couldn't get spots. Everybody was getting spots, like TV stars and actors and stuff were getting spots.
Yeah, it's
What year did you start?
In the late 80s, at the end of the comedy boom.
Me too. I started 88.
Yeah, I was like 87, and I remember like comedy had just died because I worked the door at the Old Improv in New York. That was like one of the original comedy clubs. And honestly, it was weird to be a doorman to no audience. You basically hold the door open. There's a guy out there. Oh no, he's just.
Was it a difference? Was there a big drop off in New York?
I think that the comedy boom, like what you saw, like in Boston, like where every place was doing comedy shows, and there were so many great locals, just like hardcore killer acts. That like New York, that kind of didn't really. It dissipated and then it kind of faded out, and a lot of these clubs kind of went down, and then we were just basically hanging on, just learning to do comedy, so it was like we didn't care, if it was a big room, we still would have suffered, but still like the fact that there was like only 12 people in there, it almost kind of fit where we were in comedy,
I remember those days at Dangerfields. Did you do
Yes.
Dangerfields?
Yes, I did.
Those were the best. Those shows where there was no one in the audience.
I used to call that club the Humbler. If you ever thought you were
Bobby?
doing all right, you go in there and they take you right back to reality.
Do you remember Bobby? The big Scottish guy that worked the door?
Yes, I do. Yeah, I do.
I saw Bobby pick a man up by his neck. Bobby would make his own weights. He would fill up like these like 10-gallon jugs with cement. He would make his own weights.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, he did a lot of wild shit. Like Bobby was like this like tank of a man.
It was a small
hilarious.
club with a lot of big people in it.
Oh my God, it was.
It was tiny. It was like an elevator, basically.
It was an amazing place.
And then they had that big piano in there. And I was like, where am I supposed to? I don't play the piano. What am I supposed to do?
You had to have a piano if you had class back
Sure,
then.
just in case.
Class. This is a fucking real club. The Improv used to have that problem. I'm like, why do we have a piano up here?
Yeah.
I would always say that to Rita. I'm like, Rita, look at me. Why, no one's playing a fucking piano. Craig can bring his own piano. He brings a piano sometimes. When Robinson wants to go up.
What I always like with the improv piano is like, you can tell who was raised right, who puts their drink on the piano. Like, right, you're going to leave a ring.
It's probably an expensive piano.
Yeah, I don't know who uses it, but they got it there. And I like that club too. The Melrose Improv. I always felt really at home there.
Great club. That club's great. That was my spot after I left the store in 2007. I was at the Improv all the time. It was great. That and the Ice House.
Yeah, the Ice House I only played a couple times.
Oh my God, it's magic. That room's magic. The Ice House, one of the most underrated clubs in the country. That's such a good room. That the big room when it's packed. Oh my God, that room's amazing.
Do you like you got a family and everything? Do you still like having the time to go out every night and like work on an act? Like,
well, my kids are young, so they go to bed right around the time I'm leaving. Yeah, which is nice. So like I'm leaving like an hour before they go to bed.
Okay.
So there's a benefit in that, and that was at the store. It was even better because at the store most of my spots were after 10. So I was leaving like they were well asleep.
Yeah.
But I'm leaving the house, and it's like I could come home too and write when no one's awake. Which
that's good.
For me is come home, spark up a little, sit in front of the computer, and just sit there and just think. When everyone's asleep and the world's quiet, like that's my favorite time to write.
During the, when everything was shut down,
Yeah.
Like the scariest thing was like, I miss being on the road, I miss being out there, like, headlining and all that stuff too. But what I really missed was like going to the Comedy Cellar in New York and going on and doing the spot. And whatever version of comedy they had, the outside, the behind the plexiglass, of course I did it. But then there were times when everything was shut and I was like, I'm starting to get used to not going out. And I got really scared. It was like one of those like, where you're like, maybe I don't need to go out anymore. I've been doing this a long time. I'm an old guy,
Ron White went through that.
Did he?
Yeah.
Okay. I love Ron.
Ron was out here, and we hadn't done shows together it was like at least a year for me. It was around 8 months of no comedy at all in LA. And we had just started doing these outdoor shows with Chappelle. So I knew I had to freshen up, so I started doing shows at the Vulcan. And Ron was going to do Tony's show at the Vulcan, and he's like, well, I think I'm retired. I think I'm going to take my boat and I'm going to fucking play golf, and fuck it, I made a lot of money, and I'm fine. I'm fine with retiring. So Tony goes, well, just do like one show. If you want to, you can go do a set. No pressure. It's like, all right, man, I'll fucking think about it, but I think I'm fucking retired. The next day, he's like, so did you think about it? He goes, yeah, I'm prepared. Let's go. I'm going to do a set. So he goes up and fucking murders. So Tony talks to his girlfriend, and Ron had gone over his iPad. He was fucking going over notes and listening to old recordings, taking notes, and like he went up there, guns blazing, and Ron White crushed. And then he gets off stage, he grabs me by my shoulder, he goes, whatever the fuck we have to do, we're gonna keep doing this. He goes, whatever the fuck we have to do, get your fucking club open, let's go, Joe Rogan. I'm like, God damn, Ron White.
I love Ron, man. He's like one of the few guys I know who is successful and really enjoys it.
Oh,
he loves it.
He loves it.
He's great. Like
he's always writing too, man. He's always working on new shit. He comes down. We do those Tuesday and Wednesday shows at Vulcan. He's always coming down and working on new shit.
He doesn't have to do any of that.
Murders.
I'm sorry. He doesn't have to do any of that stuff. It's just he loves the game,
Well, you don't have to do it either, but you do it. It's the same thing, man. It's like these guys who just love they love the thing, the stand-up, the fucking thing. When you're set up, punchline, boom, you wrote it. Now you're making it better. It's killing. It's like, this is my new chunk. Like, woo!
Well, I don't know if you've seen me lately. That's very kind of you. Yeah, no, I would say that I'm in that moment now where it's like my crowd is so good. Like the people who've been like coming to see me for years now, like they are so good all the different ways you want them. Like they love jokes. There's no line for them.
Right.
They don't want it. They don't want it dumbed down. They don't want it. They know I don't pick sides, and they know that it's about the joke and that I'm trying to bring them new material every time. And they drink and they tip hard and they're good to the staff. So what more can I ask for?
That's the best.
I'm a lucky guy. I'm very lucky. And anybody who works with me, they always say the same thing. They go, Dave, your crowd is awesome. So
that's beautiful.
It's a great compliment.
Well, it's because you're doing all the right things. You're doing comedy just for comedy. You're just having fun. And some of us that fell apart. Yeah. Some of us fell apart in this wonderful world of like what's okay to talk about, what's not okay to talk about, what's a joke and what's not acceptable. It's like, come on.
It seems like you and I have both done the West East Coast kind of like you do your show on the road and you're like, there is no wrong. And then you hit like a showcase show like New York or whatever. And I'm old. I mean, I'm 57 years old, and I never try and be relevant, but irrelevant is the word. Like they kind of go up there. It looks like I'm about to lead like a ghost hunting tour. You know, they're like terrified. But like the moans and the groans and all that kind of stuff, I'm kind of getting used to it. You know, the choppy C as I call it. You know, the little like whimpers and like cries of foul play. I mean, it's like. Okay, that's how you guys react. I got to just deal with that. But it's nothing like them back in the day when you knew immediately when you I mean, there's not a plate of chicken wings coming at you. You know, it's
right.
like, I mean, like let's take it for
us,
what it is. Yeah.
For people who've done those prom shows at Dangerfields.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. It's like, the reaction is different, but I would say and this probably scares you too, is the cold silence of a young crowd, where they're just basically, you could see it in their head. They're buffering. They're trying to figure out how to react.
It's interesting because like there's a way to navigate those waters, right? But these are definitely new waters. And if you want to bring up controversial material, there's certain people that aren't even going to listen to what you're saying. They won't listen to what you're saying. What they want to do is just immediately react to a subject and bark.
Right.
They immediately want to like state their position on the subject and bark. So you've hit like political or cultural hot points, and you can't even have a take on them that's humorous. They won't allow that because they feel like they're an activist. That's the problem.
I know what you're talking about, and like I'm always like, it's the joke, and like I really put a lot of time into material. So like anybody who knows me, it's like I check a joke. I want to make sure that like I'm doing it. It's
You've
my joke.
You've called me several times.
Yeah, I have. Right.
Several times.
That's
saying,
a weird
hey,
call, isn't it?
No, it's a good call. It's a good call because it's a call from an artist. You're like, hey, this seemed like it came to me too easy. Have you heard this?
But my friends, I include you in this group, always go like, your calls are almost cryptic. Like, do you say antelope in a joke? Do you have a joke that ends with Fruit Loops? I'm like, who is this? That kind of thing.
It's so funny because Santino called me up the other day in a frenzy. He's like, do you have a joke on this? I feel like you have a joke on this. I had a nightmare that you had a joke on this in one of your old specials. I go, nope, definitely don't.
Right.
I definitely don't. If I do, I forgot it. So it's fair play.
Luckily, there's all these super fans now where like they start quoting your old material after you. I'm like, who is that guy? Oh, that's me. Oh, I forgot.
I know someone will bring up a joke and I don't even know how it goes. Because I have to abandon them. We all have to abandon. Do you smoke cigars?
No, that was my dad's thing.
No,
I'm on these American Spirits.
Those are good. Those are healthy.
Are they?
I don't think so.
Mm-mm. But you've been cool with that because I know when people get the call, sometimes they get all like, "Why are you asking me this?" And I'm like, "I'm just trying to check the joke."
No, man, everybody does that. If you don't do that, then maybe you've never had an idea that came to you that's weird. Like sometimes an idea will come to you. It's like, is that no one's thought that already?
Yeah,
how's
too
no one
easy.
Thought that one?
A
Sometimes
too easy
they're
joke.
Too easy.
Yeah,
and you don't know, man, because like there's shit that you might have heard when you had been doing comedy for 6 months and you completely forgot about it, and then all of a sudden it pops in your head as if it's yours, and you're like, oh shit.
And then you also have to, because there's so many different ways to stream and platform that now it's like, oh, is this a joke? Like, is this one cool, or did someone already TikTok this idea or that? Like, what's going on? Is somebody memeing that? Sorry, I don't even know the terms. So that's the point of like, it's harder and harder to check material all the time.
Yeah, but it's kind of fun.
Yeah, well,
part of the fun of it all. It is a fun way to make a living. God damn it.
For sure, and I always, since I have very few marketable skills, it's cool to have one where you have some control over your, destiny, situation, and all that kind of stuff.
You've managed to avoid all the pitfalls of social media.
No, I'm not into it. Yeah. I kind of rock with a flip phone. I got someone who does that for me, and I answer every message I can, and I just don't. I give you a lot of credit for what you do. Doing this every day for hours on end, that's tough. That's really tough, and it's hard to get up for that show.
Dude, it's
the
easy.
fans want. It
Coal
is?
mining's tough. Yeah, this
Well,
is
that's
easy
true.
as fuck. I'm talking to people like you. Mm-hmm. How hard is that? I'm the luckiest guy alive. I get to talk to some of the coolest fucks that have ever lived.
Well,
it's amazing. It's so fun.
You got to give a lot of yourself for that. I'm not really like, I have trouble talking about myself, and I like talking about comedy, and like, we were talking about this outside in the hall about like, there's a lot of dead friends of ours, out there and stuff like that. And, if I could bring one up, would be cool. Gilbert, who I was there when he went down. You know, Jeff Ross and I were both really close friends of the family and Gilbert. And we had both been there like day of. And I was there in the morning when he went down. And I was thinking like, you know, here's a guy who generationally, like since the 80s, you know, has been famous, infamous, famous, all that kind of stuff. And we all knew him in the comedy world, like what he was about, or at least I did.
Yeah.
You know, I was always a huge fan of his. He always made me laugh, always made me laugh. And it's great when you get a guy that you know and he makes you laugh. And I was like, you know, social media for him was easy. Like, he loved it. He loved Cameo. He was like the biggest Cameo guy in the world. Like, he's
happy
huge.
birthday.
Yeah. You cocksucker. I hope your anniversary. You know, like just these like a troll sending out, you know, like riddles. But like he loved it. He loved it. And it's like, it's amazing how, like, you know, here's a guy who's older than me, but he somehow took to it and it worked for him, you know?
It just naturally fit his personality.
For sure.
He was a funny fucking dude, man. I was so happy to get him in here and get a chance to talk to him. And, you know, because I never really had that much time talking to him. I was just like saying hi at a club here or there. But to sit down, that's the thing about like a podcast that's different than any other kind of conversation. You get to really know someone over hours and hours of time just shooting the shit about stuff.
True.
It's like, how often do we get a chance to do, like, some of the best conversations I've ever had with my friends have been public.
Everything we're all different places, different times, all that kind of stuff. But with Gilbert, I was going to say that, you know, here's a guy who, like, when I would go, hey, you're in town, come down to the Comedy Cellar and do a set, or I'll bring you on stage and we'll, like, do, like, a little something, you know? And, like, you know, Jeff and I always loved, like, working with him. You know, he's always so much fun. But, like, he was like, no, why would I do that? I was just in Poughkeepsie, New York. I don't need to, you know, go up in front of you know, like, he was like, you know, the job was the job. And then, you know, he did his other thing. So I kind of respected that about him, too, you know?
But he also did Cameo.
No, he loved Cameo.
So he's a complicated man.
He really was. I'm sure the flag was at half staff at Cameo when he went down.
I bet. Yeah, cameos are odd. I'll go to watch people's cameos sometimes. You know what's the saddest? When they flub it and they don't redo it. Well, come on, man.
It's really good how, like, you know, being older, like, you're like, I wonder what the surviving cast members of Magnum PI are up to. I guess I can look on Cameo and see which ones are available for a happy birthday message. You know,
what a weird thing.
People love it.
You get famous people to wish you happy birthday. Who's the number one person on Cameo? Young Jamie. If you had to guess, is it?
I bet you it's still Gilbert.
Was Gilbert really number one?
I think he was.
I know who it is now, I think. But at least for a while, those Island Boys took over for a minute. Those guys that went viral online.
Are they still around?
Because of that.
It's really working still?
I think.
Good for, I hope they stay around forever. I hope they get together with that girl, the Catch Me Outside girl, and they make super babies.
She definitely would be a hit.
Super influencer babies. It's funny when people like become successful and like that for no fucking reason, and people get mad. Like, what the fuck? Why is everybody paying attention to them? Like, why are you mad? Like, look at this. It's ridiculous. It's fun.
The top earners are kind of a surprise. It's Kevin from The Office.
Put that shit up. Let's
Really?
Yeah. That's
What do we got?
Brian Baumgartner is his name.
Interesting. Is he really good at it or something?
I don't know.
Huh.
Wow, you could
Click
do
on
like
the thing.
you got a whole day's worth of.
So
great...
that dude,
Yeah.
Wow.
good for him.
At least at this time, which was 2020, November 21.
Cost to businesses $2,600. Damn, you could rack up some numbers.
Yeah, really.
There's Gilbert. He was up there.
Yeah, Gilbert would do like 10 a day. I mean, if not more, you know.
That's a lot of money, man. Michael Rappaport's in there. Mm-hmm. How many is Rappaport doing? How much does it cost to get Rappaport to talk shit to you?
$200.
Damn, that's a good deal. So anybody gets to pick the number?
That's Carol Baskin.
She's on it? Joe Exotic should be on if she's on it. Where's your husband? Where's your husband, lady?
Yeah, I got to learn to like make some money online or something like that.
Imagine that. Did she really, if let's just say if, we're not alleging anything, but if she really did feed her husband to a tiger,
right,
and you can get her to wish you a happy birthday, that is fucking hilarious.
That's how I want to go too, is food. I think that's a great way to go out.
It is kind of weird that we kind of cheat on the food pyramid thing, because we embalm ourselves so we don't rot, so nothing can eat us. It's a dirty trick.
Like the alligator pit would be kind of fun, don't you think?
When your body's done,
Yeah,
just
they
have a
just-
little celebration and throw you in a pit full of alligators.
Because they have zero respect. You know, the way they roll, you know how they kill, they roll. Oh, that would be just see myself twerking around like that. Oh.
Jamie, did I show you the video of the crocodile that's swimming with a body in its mouth, a human body in its mouth? Did I send that to you? This one's rough. Someone sent this to me on Instagram. It's a crocodile, and it's swimming up to this boat, and it sounds like they're from Australia or South Africa. It's hard to tell, but because I'm not good at accents, but they're trying to figure out what it is, and then they realize it's a human.
Oh no.
Oh, dude, it's rough. It's rough. I'm gonna try to find
Okay,
it.
this is the kind of stuff.
Is
This is it? I'm waiting for the video to load.
could be
but
it.
It's not.
Could be it.
Yeah, that's a crocodile, right?
Oh, there it is on there. No, that's not.
No,
This is
that's not it.
That looks.
Yeah, I think they're just showing croc videos.
They're not gonna show the video.
I don't think so. Let's see.
This guy's
Maybe.
fighting him off with his.
Presidents took a video.
I
posted
have.
on Twitter. Here,
I
hold on.
guarantee you, I have it in here. If you just give me 1 second, I'll find it.
Extremely graphic footage. Here, this.
Is this it? No, that's another one.
Oh no.
That's another one
Yeah,
with
this
a
is
body.
from a month ago.
I've seen that one too. Bro, seriously.
Oh Jesus.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it. That's the one. That's
Wow.
The one. So look at that.
Mm.
Bro, that is fucking
He
rough.
depantsed him too.
That is fucking rough.
By the arm.
That is rough. And it looks like the crocodile wants everybody to see it.
Yeah.
That's what's most fucked up about it. It
Now,
looks
how
like
much
it's
is-
swimming over like it wants everyone to see that it killed a person.
Now I want to. How much is that crocodile's cameo?
Is it?
Bro, I just want you to look at that. How crazy that is.
That is pretty.
That we accept the fact that monsters live near us. That we're cool with that. Like, why are we cool with that?
Well,
What the fuck is wrong with us?
I think it puts us like kind of in our place a little bit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, is that necessary? I get it.
I don't know.
I don't think we should keep those things around. Everybody thinks we should keep them around. Like, I think shoot them in the fucking head and turn them into shoes. You're out of your fucking mind. Those things eat people. Like, we're just so far removed from nature that we think that, and I'm not advocating, honestly, I'm joking around. I'm not advocating for the elimination of all crocodiles.
Right.
But the fact that people are, like, really comfortable being around them, it just blows my mind. Just like Florida's having more and more alligator attacks every year. Like is that true? I might have made that up. But I think there's been a number this year in Florida.
Well, that's one of my favorite shows where the guys get to go out and cull the herd. You know,
yeah.
That's really cool. The way they do that, man, I love it. And they're doing it now with the pythons because that's another invasive species.
That
you know?
shows swamp people, right? What is this?
I love
Alligator
it.
attacks do happen in Florida, but not at an alarming rate. It's one is an alarming rate. If one
That's not what
person
that
gets
guy
killed
thought.
by a werewolf, if one a year gets killed by a werewolf, that's fucking alarming.
That's not what that guy thought.
Honestly,
Peter.
there's only an average of 6 a year. I feel like.
But I think this year there was a few. I think a few people died this year. How many people died from alligator attacks in 2022? Just Google that real quick.
Okay, hold on.
I'm gonna guess. I think it's 6. I think 6 people have died from alligator attacks. No, that's nothing. What about drunk driving? What about OxyContin? What about yeah. That too. But fucking also alligators.
4 so far.
4. How many have just fucking disappeared? How many homeless folks just vanished?
Mm.
One of my favorite stories was a guy stole a car, and the cops are chasing him, and he jumps out of the car on a bridge and jumps in the water and lands right on an alligator and gets killed right in front of the cops.
Oh, wow.
Like he
That's
just
great.
landed, boom, right where the alligator was. Just snaps him up like right away.
Wow. You've been to New York lately or no?
Yes.
Yeah, we got our own little thing going on over there now.
What's going on?
I don't know. It's kind of like a you know, it's like a little bit of mayhem. You know what I'm saying? Like especially the street people, like pretty aggressive, and you know, it does feel like
Like the homeless folks are aggressive?
yeah, just like you know, there's a lot of you know. Psychosis
Mentally,
out there.
yeah.
There's a lot of whatever's going on, a lot of aggressive panhandling, a lot of just like I can do whatever I want whenever I want going on.
Right.
So it's kind of old school New York, like more like in the 70s, 80s than it is, and it's filthy. You know, it is that kind of like it's like Gotham without Batman. You know, that's really what it is. It's just pretty much out of control. But you definitely see like rats. Like, have you ever seen a tornado of rats.
I've seen a lot of rats before.
I saw, like, I was walking from the Comedy Cellar, like, up towards Washington Square Park late at night, and just, like, a bag of garbage, like, whee, and then it was just, like, a circle of rats. I was like, oh, this is, like, the end of days, like, right here. I was like, holy shit, is this, like, a sign? I was like, I couldn't believe it.
I parked at this gas station once in the 90s, back when you had to use payphones. So I pulled into the gas station, start pumping my gas, and I go over to use the payphone. And as I'm using the payphone, I'm watching rats jump on my wheel and crawl up into my car.
Dude, and you drove that car?
I had to. What am I going to do?
Oh, shit.
I'm like, what the fuck do you do?
That's brave.
I felt like if I started up, they would jump out. I mean, like, what the fuck are they looking for? It's like they're looking for food or something. They're looking for a hole to get into the car and find food. It's like,
was it cold?
No,
because they
not
go under the
particularly.
engine. They say under the engine block to
Right.
warm up. They're really smart.
They're so smart. Have you seen that the Rats documentary on Netflix?
No.
Oh my God, you have to see it. It's incredible.
I'm always afraid they're going to swim up the toilet because that
They
happened
can.
one time though. That
But
probably
that's
happened
enough.
one time.
One werewolf. I'm staying out of the woods. Fuck that, dude. There was the documentary. It shows all the diseases that they carry. Like there's rats out there right now that have the plague.
Yeah.
They're around people. There's like they caught some in Georgia and they ran some studies on. They found all kinds of crazy diseases in these things.
But you know, Naked and Afraid, you know those guys?
Yes.
Those guys, like they have the two guys, they have the hunter guy, and then they have the other guy who's the scrounger, you know, he just the scavenger guy. And he would eat that. He would eat it. He'd figure out a way to like deplague it and like skin it and like just
Eat a rat?
It. Yeah, he's awesome the way he does his stuff.
You
man.
can eat a rat. You just have to cook it to like 167 degrees. That's what
Right.
kills trichinosis. That's the most dangerous one, but even that doesn't kill you. There's all sorts of other shit that could be carried in those things, though. Like someone ate burbot liver, and they got the bubonic plague.
Oh.
I think it was like a traditional dish in whatever country they're from, and they ate. Find that out. Eat burbot, burbot. It's like some weird mammal. And they ate its liver.
And got the plague.
And they got the plague.
Classic.
Yeah, which is like, what the fuck, man? Like, rats are around people all day long in numbers that are, like, they think that the physical size of the rat population, in terms of, like, their biological mass, their weight, is the same as people.
Wow. You mean all the people
Yes.
to all the rats?
All the people and all the rats. Marmot. Yeah, marmot meat. He ate raw marmot meat. So a Mongolian couple died from bubonic plague in 2019,
Wow.
sparking a quarantine that trapped tourists for days.
Yeah, see?
So marmot is like a little gopher-looking thing.
Oh, okay, that's a different story.
So
yeah.
they ate this thing and they got the fucking plague. I think wasn't it raw?
In New York?
Yeah, they ate raw marmot meat. Yeah. Bro.
In New York, they, you know, the dog park.
Yes.
There was a rat in the middle, and all the dogs like were trying to be dogs, like they're like trying to like attack him. But you could tell like they already had been too metro that they really didn't know what to do. Like they were like, my assistant will do this, you know, something like that. You know, we'll send a smaller dog in there to
You
do
ever
this.
seen the video of the rat killing the pigeon?
I love that one. Oh, that's a great one, isn't it? Oh
I
man.
didn't know they hunted.
Oh God, they're
I just
so
assumed,
good.
I just assumed they killed things that were already dead. I didn't know they killed things too.
Some
That was-
people keep them as pets. Yeah, that's the one I'm talking about.
That's an eye opener.
This is great.
The thing about that rat too, when a rat is that fucking brazen, a lot of times that's a rat that has toxoplasmosis.
Probably. Yeah.
Oh, dude, most definitely.
Look at him, outgunned, outnumbered. He's
But
still
look at him,
holding.
he's bouncing around in the middle. Like he's not running to hide. Like he's kind of like hanging out in the middle.
Could have been injured a little bit there.
He
too.
could have been.
This is kind of like a Pee-wee football where you want your dog to go in and make the kill.
All those dogs are going to the vet afterwards. They're getting multiple shots. You guys fucked up.
They're all New York dogs, too. They're like, oh, my God, I'm traumatized.
Oh my God, they're gonna have therapy. They're gonna have so many shots. Like you,
Yeah,
'cause
you
that-
have
you have
to.
to get rabies shots. You have to get everything.
I loved when I went to your old house out in L.A., right? The dogs you had, those big dogs.
Which ones? The pit bulls?
The ones
Was
that
it
were
the pit
outside.
bulls or was it the mastiff that I had?
The mastiff.
Yeah, the mastiff was a sweetie. He was
Yeah.
the best. That was Johnny Cash. He
Man.
was so sweet.
I love that dog.
He was so sweet. Those dogs, man, The big dogs, when they get older, it's rough on them, man. I used to have to carry him to take him to the bathroom. Like he couldn't walk anymore.
How long did he?
He lived to be 13, which
That's
is old
amazing,
for a
yeah.
really big dog.
That's
but it's
amazing.
so sad, man.
Yeah.
You have them from the time they're a puppy, and then all of a sudden they're 13 and they can't walk, and like you're just a little boy. Like you're my little buddy, and you're 13. So he was like 140 pounds. I used to have to carry him outside.
Wow.
I used to pick him up, take him outside to go to the bathroom.
Yeah, but you gave him a great life, though. I mean, what an awesome setup you had for him.
Well, it was a good yard.
Yeah.
He was a smart dog too. He was the one, but he got honeypotted into killing chickens by a coyote. Did I ever tell you this story?
No.
He was really big, so he was a very strong dog. And so like chicken wire that kept coyotes out, that didn't keep him out. He just didn't go in there because he didn't know that you can kill chickens. So one day the pool guy had accidentally left the gate open that led to this other part where the pool is and where the chicken coop was. And so this fucking coyote was teaching him to be his friend.
Oh.
And the coyote was like, come to the fence, like, I'm your friend. And he was friendly. He was like, oh, you're my friend. He just thought it was a dog, right?
Yeah.
And then we had this chicken that was brooding. I don't know if you know what brooding is, but
No.
when a chicken thinks that it has to raise an egg, even though the egg hasn't been fertilized, it's called brooding. They get kind of crazy, and they pick at their feathers, and then they sit on an egg, and they just insist that this egg, even though it's not fertilized, is going to become a chicken. So
But it's a real egg there.
it's a real egg.
Okay.
They lay an egg, but something goes bonkers in their brain, and they have to go through this whole cycle of when the chick would be born before they shake out of it. Or you take them and you isolate them in a smaller pen. So I took them and I isolated them, and you put them on this post where they have to stand up. And if they have to stand up, then they can't brood because they can't like sit on that thing. They pick their feathers out and shit. It gets rough. So we had this one chicken that was separated. And so the coyote convinced Johnny to destroy the chicken coop.
Uh-huh.
So I don't know how it did it, man. But all of a sudden, like, he never did that before. But he just
He's
destroys
huge.
this thing. Just pulls it apart. And then I'm with my kids and my wife, and we're playing some board game. And so we're sitting there in the living room, we're playing like Uno or some shit. And then I see this coyote leapfrog over the fence with a chicken in his mouth. It was amazing.
Wow.
It was so graceful. Like, we had this like 6 foot high wrought iron fence. It just went like this, bing, to the top of the fence, boing, and then over it. Like it was nothing. Like it was nothing.
And talk about like your dog to a coyote. Coyote weighs like what, 50 pounds?
Maybe,
right?
not even that, I
Yeah.
don't think. And it just carried that chicken like it was nothing. But it convinced my dog to smash open this thing. So then my pool guy fucks up again and leaves the gate open. So Johnny decides, I'm just going to go in the big chicken coop. So he just smashes a hole in the big chicken coop and goes on a massacre and kills 9 chickens. So I see it outside from my bathroom. I'm like, fuck. I run out there and I have to go through the hole that he created, and I grab him and drag him out.
Man, that must have activated something deep in the back of his brain when he got that chicken blood in him. I'm getting hard.
Well, the coyote just convinced him, like, why aren't you killing these chickens? He's like, why aren't I killing these chickens?
Right.
And then all of a sudden, he's killing chickens.
You know the big dog. So your dog is not the dog that they have like in the Russian prisons, right? That crazy.
No. Well, I don't know what ones they use, but
It's the wolf something, the wolfhound.
oh, I've seen
whatever that
thing.
is.
That big crazy hairy thing.
Yeah, like it lives and it dies outside. It's like basically, it's like an outdoor dog. Like
Right.
you never bring it inside. And when they do, they bring it in. They shuffle the prisoners around like they're just barking, growling at them the whole time. But
That thing looks terrifying.
Yeah.
It looks like something from The Hobbit.
it is like like you would see like a battle dwarf riding it.
Aren't
that
they like
kind of thing.
fucking 200 pounds too? They're
Easily,
huge.
easily.
What is that? I don't know what it is. Is it? It's not Australian, right? No. No, it's Russian.
Yeah, it's a Russian. It's their dog. It's like crazy big.
Just Google Russian werewolf dog.
It's the one they use in their like Supermax lockdowns.
Jesus. Like in Stranger Things.
But in New York,
Did they have those in Stranger? No, they didn't. They had like German Shepherds. They probably can't use those things. They probably
in New
can't
York,
train them.
In New York, it became really cool to have a big dog again, and I think that's
I
cruel.
typed in Russian wolfhound. That's not it.
No. That
No,
dog.
no.
That dog you would only see like in an art gallery.
Try Russian werewolf dog. Try that. Let me see what.
It's
Google
like
that.
a wolfhound something.
Yeah,
It is intimidating.
But I think if you Google Russian werewolf dog, it shows you what it is.
Ouch.
Not that.
No, that's not it.
Maybe the one to the right. Yeah, that. No.
No,
Something
not
like that.
either.
Oh yeah.
No,
No.
that's not it. That's just like a giant ass. Those things.
Wow.
Those are cool looking.
Yeah.
That looks like Elton John's sister. Did you see what fucking Biden said? Blame it on this guy. We're spending all the money on AIDS. Did you see that? Did you see Biden's quote? It's so ridiculous.
These are just wolves, I think.
Yeah, not wolves. It's a giant Russian wolf-like dog.
I'm sorry I brought it up. I thought it would be
damn
like an easy hit.
No, that's a wolf bear. You're looking at like a hybrid. That's a Google giant Russian werewolf dog. All right, let's see this.
It's like a big head dog.
Yeah, it's a crazy looking
Yeah.
thing. Here it is.
There.
I found it right away.
Well, I didn't have
Yes,
giant on there.
that's
Wolf
it.
killer,
That's it.
Caucasian shepherd. That's it.
Look at that.
Look at the size
Holy
of that
shit.
thing.
Wow.
What the fuck, man?
That does.
That can't
that's
be real.
that's real. That's not
can't
real.
Be real. That's
not-
that's
that's
CGI.
And that's a little.
That might be fake.
Yeah, that's
too.
a little fake.
That's fake
But
too.
it's a big
Look at her
dog.
arm. I don't like how her arm disappears in the hair. I'm getting
It's the same lady too, I think.
I'm getting swindled. Yeah,
Maybe-
but that dog is a real dog. The
Yeah.
Caucasian shepherd. So Google that.
Okay.
Google
Hey, look.
Caucasian shepherd.
They're amazing looking. Look at them in the snow.
Yeah, that's it. That's that giant ass fucking wolf looking thing. Look at the size of that fucker.
Yeah.
How big are those bitches?
Height 2.2 feet.
Shit.
2.2 feet.
Wow.
That's not that big.
I know.
That's a cold weather dog for
Is this,
sure.
is this the wrong dog? That ain't the same
I
dog.
think someone did a
What is that fucking other one though? There's one wild looking
100 to 170 pounds.
dog. People are so mad right now because it's a big ass dog.
Yeah. No, that was the picture, but that
Yeah,
girl
it
was
looks big.
That
That's it,
does
I
not
think.
look like
No?
2 feet. That thing looks
No.
fucking huge.
Not 2 feet on the top, like from height.
But that's bigger than 2 feet, dude.
170 pounds max ish.
Look at that coat. Man,
Brian Callen would know.
it's definitely
I'm gonna call him right now. Brian Callen knows about dogs.
it's the
Call Brian Callen. I have to get to the bottom of this, Jamie.
Well,
I'm sorry for slowing down the show, but I think we'll all be better people once we know.
Brian Callen, you're live on my podcast. What you would know this? What is that giant, crazy, scary Russian dog that looks like a werewolf?
I think that's a Kovalask or something like that. It's a they're mountain dogs. They're 200 pounds, and they're there to keep the wolves at bay.
Right, that's what we're talking about.
Is it a Kovask? It's something like that.
It's not a Caucasian mountain dog, right? Or a Caucasian mountain shepherd. That's a different thing.
I like using this word in a sentence. They hail from that area.
Oh wow, you look like a scholar.
Yes, I am. Yes, I am a scholar. But I have seen one in person, and it's as close to a dog bear as you can get. It's like they bred a dog, a big dog, with a grizzly. That's
Wow.
what it's like. It's
And it has
crazy.
crazy fangs, right?
Yeah, well, they fight them. So in the Caucasus, in Afghanistan.
I like how you
they
say that.
fight-
I like how you pronounce Afghanistan.
In Afghanistan, they fight those dogs. In the Caucasus Mountains, they fight dogs, and that area of the world, they use those giant mountain dogs and they pit them against each other.
Anything, Jamie?
And see,
I'm looking real hard.
Caucasus Mountains, giant fighting dog.
Yep.
We'll find it. We'll find. All right, Brian. Love you.
love you too, buddy.
Bye.
Wow, that was good work, Joe, man. We got it.
I think we might have it.
Yeah.
Well, that's what the Caucasian shepherd is.
That's it?
That's what a Caucasian.
But it looks
That's the
scarier
Caucasus
than that.
Mountains.
I've seen scarier ones.
Either way, it's huge. It's a huge dog. You get a lot of dog for your money on that one.
Boy, that subject fizzle out.
No, I
I
got
was
more
hoping
if you
for
want.
a big ending. I was hoping we're going to find the picture that I know that I've seen before, that thing with giant fangs.
No, you got to go to like what is that lockdown show where they show them like using them to like.
That's
just-
it.
But that's the
Yeah,
same.
That's
See?
the Caucasian Shepherd. Okay, but that's
yeah.
that's the image that I've seen before. Like that one, and then there was another one down. If you just go back to the one you just saw, there was another one down there where his mouth open.
Oh, they're fighting it up.
That it. Like that's it. What is that? What the fuck is that? That's what I'm talking about. Okay, so we just looked at like really clean looking,
Nice ones.
well-bred ones. Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, that's it.
This
Oh my
lady
God,
took a lot
that's
of
real.
pictures and fucked
Beauty
up
and the Beast.
Bro, that's the real
thumbnail
dog.
game.
Yeah.
What'd you say, Jamie?
This lady is in all of these thumbnails, so she's fucked up this thumbnail game.
Yeah,
just her thing.
but that seems like it's not. Go back to that image of her next to the dog. That seems accurate. That seems like it's actually that big.
That dog must eat.
Oh my God, the
Yeah.
shits that thing must take.
Yeah, that's
good
a lot
luck
of work.
if you got a regular backyard. You have
Oh,
hefty bags.
They
full
look
with
cute
shit.
there.
Look at that. That doesn't look
Oh,
cute.
that's a fun
Killing a wolf.
man. That would be a nice oil painting.
It would be right over your bed. Let ladies know what they're in for. Kills wolves.
Cool.
All right, so now we know. There you go. It's a thing. So we just got a bad image search.
It's all right, though. I love that we went through it, but I'll tell you,
We made the journey together.
we did it. And you know, all I'm gonna say is that it's a little too hot out here in Texas for that kind of a dog. You know, you'd have to give him so many.
Oh yeah, I got a golden retriever, and during the summer months, it's rough for him. Mm-hmm. But he loves swimming, so that's cool.
Yeah, they're like built for swimming.
Oh my God, yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't even have to teach him how to swim. He just jumped in the water when he was a puppy.
Really?
Yeah, I'm like immediately.
Oh, that's right. It's in their like DNA or something.
100%.
Yeah.
It was like immediately start swimming.
Nice.
Yeah, he figured it out like right away. Just had to show him where the stairs were, and then he was good.
Even the little ones like to take a dip.
Yeah.
I like that. You know.
The thing about those dogs too is like it's interesting retrievers because teaching a dog to fetch and then bring it back. Some dogs don't want to bring it back. You're like, hey, motherfucker, bring the ball
Yeah,
back.
possessive.
Retrievers immediately bring it back every time.
You don't
Every
even
time.
have to teach him, huh?
Never. The only time he stops is I know he has to take a shit. It's like, oh, he paused. He hasn't come back all the way. He's got to take a dump, and then he'll come run back over. But those dogs are like designed for retrieving.
Well, you know, being on the road, I can't have a dog, so I have to kind of live
Yeah.
vicariously through you guys with your dogs.
How often are you on the road? How many days a week?
I'd say I kind of stepped it up. You know, I got a lot of bills, so I've been stepping it up and trying to do like at least 2 to 3 weeks on the road, like of full till 4 days. You know, and
Every month?
Yeah.
Wow.
And like we were talking earlier, like the comedy boom is there. There's definitely like Cap City added a show, late show on a Sunday. Who would do that?
That's
Why
amazing.
not? You know,
Why not?
And
Fuck yeah.
everywhere I go, like it's like, oh, cool, we're close to sold. Let's add a show. You know, I'm like, I'm
Beautiful.
up for it. I'm already there. You know, why not? What else am I gonna do?
Boy, your machine gets greased when you're doing that many shows too.
Yeah, but towards the end of the week, it does become this whole like, because I know people are coming to see multiple shows, so I'm always trying to mix it up for them. And
Right.
sometimes that falls apart on me. It's like a fucking, you know.
Yeah, but people that are coming to see multiple shows appreciate that too. That you're out there,
I guess so.
fucking around. And,
Yeah.
I mean, that's half the fun for real comedy nerds is to watch a guy like start a bit and then you see where that
crash.
bit becomes in 6 months.
Oh, that's true.
How many bits did you start out with? In the first couple times you did them, they're like, ugh, I might have to abandon this one.
You remember, this is another like old school comedy thing, but Richard Jeni, do you remember him? Yeah. Like he was always the guy who, I like worked with him. I used to watch him and I was always like, nobody could crush like this guy did. And I've talked to the younger comics about it too. I go like, this guy, like, people, you know how always people leave going like, oh, my belly hurt. Like people basically were, it was like a smackdown. Like people like were leaving like, limping and stuff like that. Like, oh, my body can't take any more laughter. He's that good. He would just basically get everything out of them. He was like the master of like milking a bit. Like he would find every angle on it. And I wish I had that skill set, like where you can go like, you take the topic and you like keep twisting it and twisting it and twisting it and twisting it. Like Brian Regan's another guy who I think is a great, like, he's amazing how he finds all these different angles and like it's fluid, it's seamless,
Jeni was the best at it.
Jeni was like, he really was exceptional at writing like a chunk of material, not just a joke. Like I'm a joke guy. He's like a chunk guy,
A chunk on anything.
Yeah, on everything actually, because that was back in the day. Some of it might be a little like, corny, whatever now, but back in the day, all that stuff was solid and people couldn't get enough of it. And I remember like 10, 15 minutes on like spaghetti, like something like that, like buying shoes. That was like an hour and a half.
He had a
material.
whole chunk on buying a Corvette. I'm like, how is that even relatable to people? And it was murderous.
Yeah.
A murderous chunk about going to a dealership and buying a Corvette.
He was a good guy to watch live. You really kind of got like what a headliner does,
I tell the story, and unfortunately, if you've heard it before, people, you're going to hear it again. One time we were at Eastside Comedy Club, and I got there on like a Sunday, and the guy who was the host of the show all weekend said Jeni did 4 different hours.
Yeah.
He did 2 different hours on Friday night, and then 2 shows on Saturday night, totally different hours. And they were all like, I want to quit comedy.
Another thing about him is that his energy consistent all the way through. Like a lot of guys, like I'm that kind of guy where it's like, yeah, first 20 minutes you're gonna see like me, like I'm punching, you know. Then it's a lot of grappling, just like holding the guy. And I feel like for him, it was almost like you're never gonna wear me out.
Right.
You're gonna get worn out before I even get tired, you know.
Right.
So I respect that too. Like.
No, he was a special comic that I don't think gets his due. I was always a giant fan of his, but then one day I was coming home from the Irvine Improv, and you know how sometimes your Bluetooth on your phone just randomly syncs up and plays a track that's on your phone?
Uh-huh.
It played this Jenny bit, and I was like, oh my God, that is so funny. I forgot how funny it was. And then I downloaded the whole album, and I just listened to it while I was driving. So that was the beautiful thing about like that was available.
Yeah, right.
On Apple Music. I just went and got it, downloaded it, and now I was listening to it on the way home.
Well, that's a perfect score because there's no better place to listen to comedy than when you're driving alone. I feel like that's where it is like it is your thing. You know what I'm
if you're
saying?
listening to comedy, that's
like
the
a
best
long
way.
drive and you get to listen to some like really tasty clips.
Yes, it's fun, and especially if you're on your way to a gig, it puts you in a good mood. You get to the airport laughing.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, the whole idea of the album now is so different than it was back in the day of like, you know, this is my album, I'm going to sell it at the show and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah.
Physical copies of things.
I still feel like that's the best way, even though like that's what I grew up on, like listening to Carlin, you know.
Well,
and all
Skanks for the Memories was a masterpiece.
I
Skanks for the Memories is a all-time classic comedy album. I know you fucking hate compliments.
No, but I really wouldn't even put it in.
It's
like
very funny.
A lot of people come up to me and ask me about it and all that kind of stuff. But I do know that like I haven't put out a lot of stuff, but that was one of the things that definitely did click with the comedy audience. And
it was fun.
You guys have always been pretty cool with me about that too. But do you feel like vinyl is like the future or the past, or because there's a lot of vinyl talk out there?
Well, the vinyl talk is fun because it's like someone who's an actual enthusiast who wants to sit down with a physical copy of something, and it's so much better than owning a CD, right? Because if they're both obsolete, which they kind of are,
the
thing about vinyl over a CD is you get a dope cover. That was always a thing, like Kiss Alive 2. You know, remember they're on the cover, like fucking yeah. You remember that? Double platinum was all silver. This is wild. Pictures inside. You would roll joints using the album. That's how people would roll joints.
When I would go to Tower Records, you know, and like they would have like the comedy section, it was always like the Steve March and you know, Richard Pryor, of course.
Yes.
But then there was like all the weirds of Dr. Demento and all those, like you're like looking at these things, like looking around, see if anybody's looking at you, you know.
I went to a gas stop once and I got these cassettes that were old Richard Pryor cassettes from Red Fox's Comedy Club in Los Angeles. It was like someone just set up a microphone and started recording. And Richard Pryor was like fucking around. He was creating new bits. He was talking shit. He was drinking. You could hear like the clinking of the ice cubes in the glass. Dude, it was amazing.
And that's a cassette, right?
Cassette. And it was like a series of them. There was like a few that you could get.
That's so awesome, dude.
I think some guy sued somebody. I think DePaulo was involved in this. I
like
think
a
he sued
bootleg.
him. Yeah, someone was like selling their shit at gas stations. They're like, why is my fucking shit for sale here? Like, who's doing this? It was like someone had cut a deal.
Right.
I don't think it was a bootleg. I think someone had cut a sneaky deal and not let the comics in on it.
When you go to a truck stop and like, you know, you see their CDs and DVDs and it's like always Larry the Cable Guy, you know, they have all of his stuff. And I was always like, Larry, you know, no one else has tapped this market. You're the only guy here. Honestly, dude. Congratulations. I was like impressed that like this is like of all the things that they have here, you know, they got like you know, they got a little cooler, they got all these different things that combine. It's like they definitely need some tapes as they're rolling, you know, rolling through down the road. So
Larry the Cable Guy is a good dude.
He is, and he's a king of merch. I always like respected his merch, man. He's always been a cool guy, but like the merch, man, I was like, how do you do it, buddy?
I met him when he was Dan Whitney.
Dan, yes.
You know, when he was...
he put the work in, too.
Yeah. He was just starting to become Larry the Cable Guy. He just was doing that radio show down in Florida, and he would do that character, Larry the Cable Guy.
And he would do the call into all the morning radios, and he'd have to do this. And I was like, man, this is tough. It's like 6 in the morning. He's calling in, you know.
But he's always been a cool dude. I met him in like 1993 or some shit in Montreal, and nobody knew who he was back then. Just a normal guy.
Yeah.
He was a very normal guy.
That's where I met Stanhope. Stanhope and we had known each other, but that's like Montreal, like we were really bound, you know, bind whatever together, and like I consider Doug still like one of the best comics.
He's one of
ever.
the best ever.
There's no one like him.
He's one of my favorite people alive.
And you know,
I love him to death.
Doug is like the real deal. Like you know, all the good.
Yeah, he's
and
great.
all the amazing of like you know like a guy who doesn't give a shit. You know,
He's free.
he is. That's a great way to put it.
Genuinely free.
Yeah.
He's not pretending to be free. He's free.
Yeah.
You know, and he's just a great guy. And you know, when I had met Doug for the first time, I'd heard of Doug before I met him. He was friends with Joey, so that's how I met him. I think I met him at. So there was like a little show that they used to do on Sunset down the street from Dublin's. It wasn't even Dublin's. It was the one down the street from Dublin's. And I met him there.
Like an open mic or
No, it was like a show they would do. I mean, it wasn't necessarily an open mic because everybody was on and was a professional, but it was like a pop-in show.
Right.
You know, sort of how Dublin's was. Remember when Dublin's was a pop-in show?
See, I never really was in LA like on that scene of like, but I always heard that that's like the cool show. That's where like where like you know you know if you just want to like fuck around, that's a cool show.
Dublin's was a fun show. That was a fun show. Dublin's was kind of what launched Dane Cook. He was,
Right.
Yeah, he was killing it at Dublin's before he was killing it everywhere else. And then it was like they had Dublin's. They had that other club that was down the street from Dublin's. It didn't last as long. And then they had Sal's Comedy Hole. Do you remember Sal's
I
Comedy
remember,
Hole?
yeah.
That was a good spot. There's a bunch of like little fuck around good spots.
Would you ever do that Hermosa Beach room?
I love that room. The Comedy
Yeah.
Magic Club. I love that room.
That's like a museum to comedy.
Yeah.
I hope they you know continues, right? Because
Yeah,
that was
yeah.
like that's where Leno would work out in his material. That's where Gary Shandling would
Yeah.
go. You know, all the big Tosh would come by.
Yeah.
And I remember he always wanted it clean. You know, that was like the thing of like you know I'm trying to keep it clean here. you know?
Yeah, but he let me go up.
Yeah, I went up too. He didn't really care.
He let me go up. He had a problem with Joey Diaz though.
Sure. Well, you
But
know,
it was just like his regulars. He was like, my regulars just can't handle it. You
yeah,
know?
it's that beach culture, and that's not always the funniest crowd. You know, I'm talking about like when you live near such a like you know you got a beautiful sunset. You don't really need as many laughs. It's when you live near like a tire fire. You know.
Right. Well, they're wealthy people too. Hermosa
Yeah.
Beach is a wealthy community. It's like, but so is La Jolla, and that club's pretty wild. The La
La
Jolla
Jolla.
Comedy Store. That's a fun place.
I
That's
also
a
like
fun
Irvine.
spot. Irvine's fucking great.
Yeah.
I love Irvine. That improv's amazing. I did that recently. I did that with Monty Franklin like a few months back. I did it with Shane Gillis too.
Shane's awesome.
Oh my
dude.
God,
Yeah.
dude! That doing shows at the Improv was one of the first times that I got to see Shane's set because he killed at the Vulcan, but we were in the green room and it was packed and you couldn't hear. There's a monitor in there and you can listen, but there was so many people were talking. We were all having fun. I didn't get a chance to see his sets, but then getting to work with him in Irvine, I got to see his whole set. God damn, he's funny.
He's good.
He's so funny.
Yeah, I like you know like he is like in. I see him in the city, so I only get to see small tastes of him. But it's always interesting stuff. The guy never panders to anybody.
No.
I mean, like you know, he knows what he wants to do and he does it. So
It's just great writing too. He has this new bit about going to the George Washington Museum. That's all I'm gonna say about it. It's fucking amazing.
Yeah.
It's so funny, dude.
there's so many. You know, like I really never get. I always go on so late. So like you know. The people who go on earlier, like I never really get to see them, but when I do, I'm always like, you know, whoa, dude.
Do you
where'd this
like
come-
that? Do you like going on late?
I like it for different reasons than people think. It's like I like it because I don't want to screw up the show for anybody who has to follow me in case I do something nuts or crazy. You know, like,
Like
in
what?
case, in case I like trash the room. You know, so I was always like, there's that. I don't like bumping anybody. I don't like I think in comedy there's a lot of bumping going on, and like I totally understand. Like,
Is that still going on?
Well, I think that's like a big name comes in and they want to do some material that's cool, but like a lot of these young comics, like they're waiting around, like to go on. It's like I hate being the guy who like puts them back. So
Yeah, that's
there's
not my
that.
thing.
There's that, and then it's also I think later I feel like I'm more into the in the zone of it. Like. I've done everything I had to do. Now I can just do my,
What
have
time do you
some
like to go up?
fun. In the city, I'd say like 1 in.
Really? That's your general
1 to
sets?
2, yeah.
That's the first set of the day is 1 a.m.
Yeah, sometimes. I mean, like sometimes I'll bounce before that, but usually it's like during the week, like on a Tuesday, Wednesday night, it's probably like 12:50, 1 in the morning,
Wow. And
Yeah.
then how many will you do?
of that night.
Yeah.
That would be just like for just one, like a taste. But then on the weekend, I'll do like 2 or 3 and late,
So you just like to do like one show a night, fuck around.
Just only if I have new stuff. Otherwise, I feel really bad about like taking the stage time. Like only if I got like something new to say. But I'll go on every night. But I'll force myself to do, even if it's like telling a joke different. I got to get up there and try it. So
it's amazing your this humility that you have about stage time. It's because like every club would die to have you go up.
Joe,
Every audience would love to see it. Like, this is what's crazy. It's like you're one of the best comics alive, and you have this attitude like
I don't know about
a
that.
middle act that doesn't want to fuck up the show for anybody.
I will say one thing, like, when you go on the road and you go on early, and it's like, you're like, whoa, these people are, they're not as like, it's harder going on late. I like the challenge, okay? Especially since I'm old now and there's all these young people hitting with their killer 20. So I like to see if I can still like bring it, Right. I guess that's kind of ego. But when you go on early, then you're like, wow, this is a different type of tight, I'm ouch, and sometimes I'll go on early just to mix it up, but I feel late is where my stuff works best.
Well, it's like you're rucking. You're out there hiking the hills with weights on your back.
Oh, you think?
Yeah,
I'm training.
And then it goes to like regular workouts. You're like flying through it like a regular show.
I'd say that like, the cellar especially is built late. Like it feels better late than it does early. But, the crowds there, you get a lot of different, like I guess you got that in LA too, where it's like you got Euros, you got locals, you got people who, I guess domestic tourists, people coming all the way in from Arkansas. So, you get like kind of like a buffet of audience.
Yeah.
And you get to see like where it hits, where it doesn't, and all that kind of stuff. So there's good to that. But at the end of the day, like I always leave like, what was that about? I can't believe they didn't get that,
Comedy becomes a destination, right?
Well, that's what's going to happen with your club, man. I mean, honestly, I bet you it's already sold out.
We don't have any tickets available yet.
It doesn't matter. I can only imagine that first opening week. It's going to be nuts.
Fun.
It's going to be nuts, man.
It'll be fun. It's exciting to be able to do something from the ground up. And to have a community that's already here, because we've been doing so many shows already here.
Yeah.
That we've been having a lot of fun, like for the last 2 years.
And will you like, well, you got to be there, like the opening for
sure. Yeah, we're gonna be there,
and it's definitely going to be.
I want you to come too.
It's going to make the news, buddy. It's going to make the news. Yeah,
not the news.
This is going to be like one of those, like opening a club. Anyhow, is so people don't get it. It's not like a guarantee. It's not like saying like I'm gonna throw into whatever like any kind of like, it's not just a bar. There's more to it, and it's difficult, and it's really hard.
Yeah, it's complicated.
So I give you credit.
Hire good people.
Well, Adam's
Stay
awesome.
the fuck out of the way.
Yeah.
And it's like being lucky enough to have guys like I want to show it to you after we get out of here.
Okay.
And I want to show it. I showed it to Louis, and he had some great notes, and we took his notes and we added all those things that he suggested.
Sure.
And it's fun. It's fun. It's fun to be able to do it the right way. Do it in a way where coming from a good place. Just trying to make a great comedy club.
The fact that you told me there's like an area for the comics to hang, like that's not every comic club has that. I mean, back in the day, this where it's like, is there a green room? And they're like, yeah, we're going to pull this curtain, and it's where we keep the extra chairs. So relax.
You gotta have a place to fuck around and talk to each other before the show, and get loose and laugh. And you gotta have a place to go over your notes. Mm-hmm. You gotta have all those things.
And I mean, hey, thanks for doing it. And
My pleasure.
Thanks for sticking with it, because the one thing I do respect the most is follow through. I mean, like, we all have great ideas. Few people actually make them, reality. So, congrats.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of follow through. Super important. And that feeling that you get when you're like, shit, why am I doing this? Like, oh my God, you're alive. Yay.
Yeah.
You're doing something exciting. It's supposed to be risky. It's supposed to be weird. That's like part of the fun. You can't always want to be comfortable. Everybody wants to be fucking comfortable all the time. And I think that doing something like this is like the best way to do it. There's like no pressure on it. It's exciting. Mm-hmm. It's only fun. We're doing it the right way, building it the right way. We got awesome people.
Yeah.
It's exciting.
I think it's also the timing of it. It's going to be perfect,
Well, comedy is now separated from the mass media of Hollywood. It used to be that there was all these gatekeepers that got to tell you whether or not you were good, or got to tell you whether or not you were accepted by this or accepted by that. And really, the only gatekeeper should be the audience. It should be like, do people like your stuff? Are you funny? Are you killing it? Do you get the respect of your peers? You know, and if that's the case, then those are the people that are going to support you now. So you're supported by all these podcast people like Gillis and Norman and Ari and, you know, and there's Segura and there's all these, and Tony, and there's all these, this fucking giant unity.
Yeah.
Of this community of podcasters and Bert and
I never
and all
saw
these
any of
people.
that coming. Bert especially, he's another guy like you. It's just like you guys are good to all of us, and you're good for all of us.
He's
So-
a good person. He's a genuinely good person. Like Bert likes to party. That's what he likes. He likes everybody to have a good time. The reason why he likes to party is he likes to have fun and to be in a good headspace and enjoy life.
He's another guy. He really does make the most of it. I appreciate
he's
that.
He works hard.
He does.
You know, he parties hard, but that motherfucker works his ass off. His schedule's preposterous, and he's always doing a bunch of other shit. And now he's doing Something's Burning again. I was
really?
actually just talking to Brian Simpson, and he was on his way over to film a new episode of Something's Burning, that cooking show that he had.
I did that with Gilbert. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
And
Yeah.
I did like a couple of dates on his tour. He was doing, I guess, a small outdoor tour, and then we were hitting all these like I guess you could say like ball fields and like a small venue outdoor kind of thing. It was a lot of fun, and it was also I never really worked with him like that, and he was so like I go, hey, can I do this? I didn't want to step on him because he has to close after like how it is after like 5 acts. Everybody's like up there blowing the light, and he still has to close. So I was like, I don't want to step on him, And he's like, do whatever you want to do. His crowd was super cool, and it's just funny to see a guy like him like own the stage. Like it's outdoors. He's got no shirt on. It's a half full ball field. It's like this looks right. I don't know why, but it looks right.
It's perfect, and it's his idea. Just like it was his idea to do the drive-in movie shows with cars. That was his idea too.
I only did. How many of those did you do?
I didn't do any of them.
Oh my God, I did
zero.
2 of them, and I brought Jay Okerson, right?
Yeah,
he's a good friend of
I love
mine,
Jay.
great friend of mine. So we did one in D.C., and I said, this is like, Red Dawn, like the re-education camp. That scene where it's like, boys, avenge me. Like I felt like we were playing like to a crowd that like they just wanted us to get done, and then we would give them bottles of water. Here's your supplies. It was really like apocalyptic. It was really cool.
That was the early days.
Yeah.
People were scared to be around people.
But that was funny. I was like, hey, I'm just glad I got it. And my opener who went on, I was like laughing, like, look at this guy. Oh, my God, look at him chewing up there. And then it was my turn, and I was like, oh, no, now I'm in the blender. Oh, this is terrible. Oh, my God, I apologize. I screamed to him, I apologize.
That's hilarious. Were people honking for laughs?
Honking. They were tailgating, and I always say like a pop the hood, like that's like a stand to go, when you let the hood up, But still, it was just like it's cool. Only comedy would do that. Like every other form of entertainment, it's like, oh, it's not safe yet. Blah 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 blah. We're out there, doing it. So.
Well, they're all connected to the music industry. Like they had to have like real strict regulations on some of the places.
Yeah.
Some of those people, they're all insured and shit. There's a lot going on there that's not going on with a comic. Just all you need is a microphone and someone willing to sit in their car and listen to jokes.
But it's so funny when you're on that stage and like there's all these headlights and you hear that generator just going behind you. You're like, this is not good. This is like a FEMA camp right here.
But we're so hungry for comedy that we'll do it anyway.
Yeah, the people came. Give it to them. Give it up for them.
We did. I was very fortunate to do those shows with Chappelle at Stubbs during the pandemic. So we did that on a regular basis.
That was amazing what he put together like that.
Oh my God!
I mean, really
brilliant idea. Test everybody. Even if you lose money, who cares? Let's do comedy.
That was so awesome that he did that, and I knew people like I would run into comedy fans. They go, I drove 6 hours to see this, 12 hours to go see this show, and like I really needed it, and that was really honestly tip of the hat to Dave, for putting that all together.
Yeah, well, it was genius when he first started it in Ohio. He did it at the outdoor wedding chapel. He did it there. Genius.
Yeah.
And then he takes it from the cornfields and says, let's just bring it to Austin for a while. So we did a shitload of shows in Austin, man. That was fun.
And outdoor comedy is not that. It's hard. It's really hard to be outdoors and doing comedy. It really doesn't fit that well.
But the people were so enthusiastic.
Yeah.
They were so happy to just be out. you know, and it was cold some nights. Some nights we'd go on stage with coats on, like winter coats. It was like 35 degrees outside.
But outdoor during the day, that's like, oh man,
Death.
yeah, that's
That's
forget
death.
about it.
That's
Forget
death.
about it.
At least at night they're drunk and it's dark and they feel like a little bit, you know,
Yeah.
it's hot. If people like to be in the dark when they laugh. They don't want to be in a brightly lit room and laugh. They're too self-conscious.
Yeah, I guess the only like place I need to do comedy now would be on a cruise ship. I've never done that. Have you done that?
No.
Yeah. I feel like I got some time. Like I'm almost there, but not there yet. The cruise ship years.
The cruise ship, if you're into cruise ships, I would imagine that would be a good time. I know Alonzo Bowden does like jazz cruises.
Yeah.
You know, Alonzo's like a jazz fanatic. So
Oh,
he'll
that's
do,
cool.
like, jazz shows and shit.
I
would imagine if you were doing something like that. Like I know that those guys, the prank show,
Yes. I know you're talking about the
Impractical
guys.
Jokers.
Impractical Jokers.
They have a mega cruise.
They have
I know
a thing,
that. Yeah.
and they do comedy on those things too.
I mean, it's not like I'm dying to do it, but I figure eventually, you know, that's kind of where comedy always leads
Right.
to the ocean. You know,
The ocean.
it comes down, leads to the ocean.
Once you get banned from a
Reverse,
country,
yeah.
you have to go into international waters and talk shit.
But it would be like, you know, my always fear was like people are like, well, why didn't you do it? I go, well, I don't know, just being, you know, like what if you bomb and then you're trapped with those people for 2 days and 3 nights? You know, like,
Oof.
yeah, it'll be tough. You know,
Oof.
gotta stay in your cabin.
Not only that, if they're mad at you, could throw you off.
Yeah,
Throw
I
you
mean,
off the boat.
a lot of things happen on those boats. You
Yeah,
know,
man.
but
There's
I,
always like a husband and a wife that get in a fight.
yeah, only one comes back.
Only one comes back. It's generally the husband that comes back. He's like, I don't know what happened.
I don't know. She was a strong swimmer. I don't know what happened. Keep looking.
Can you imagine going out that way, getting dropped off a cruise ship in the middle of the fucking ocean? Like, holy
That's the
fuck, what a
scariest.
scary way to die.
You see it slowly going away.
and
from
they'll
you.
never find you.
Oh yeah. Oh,
They'll
terrible.
never find you.
Man, this is grim. It's a grim one. Yeah.
Yeah, the ocean is so strange, man, because it's just, most of it's nothing. Most of it's not even sharks. Most of it's empty.
Yeah.
It's only like within the few 100 miles of the coasts everywhere that there's really all the life.
That's why you know anything about the sea turtle? Do you know anything about
Yeah.
it? I know it's a big animal heavy show today,
I
but
love animals.
the sea turtle, like they have like a really horrible life, you
It's
know?
not a good life.
Like they're like swimming around like in the middle of the ocean, like the dead zone they call it, like just swimming around like, oh, there's a twig over there. Let's go over there for a minute. Like that's like the highlight of their, you know, week. But it's just like swimming around, nothing going
It
on.
sucks. And you know what the worst is? The moment they're hatched, it's like
Oh,
every
yeah.
day is Normandy. Every day
yeah.
is storming the beach. Most of them are going to die.
Yeah.
So they're making their way to the ocean. They're getting stolen out by crabs. You ever see a crab take a fucking turtle?
No.
Crab, which is smaller than the baby turtle, picks
Really?
up this baby turtle and walks away with it.
Wow.
It's like pulling the baby turtle away. See if you can find that. Crab murders baby turtle. Or crab attacks baby turtle. It's wild. It picks it up and carries it away.
I've only seen the birds really enjoy
Birds
it.
fuck
Yeah,
them
go.
up.
They get them at.
Birds fuck them up, but crabs steal them. Look,
Oh,
look at this shit.
Oh God,
They
that's
just drag
terrible.
them away, grab them, pinch them by their head, and drag them away.
Oh my God,
look
terrible.
at that. Crabs are monsters, dude.
Look at
look, he's
that.
just eating it alive.
We're really
Pulling off chunks of it and eating it, and drags it into its hole.
Man,
Motherfuckers. Crabs scare the shit out
we're
of me.
really lucky they're smaller than us. You know,
God, that's
It's
the
like
only reason
some of
why
these-
they're alive. I mean, at one point in time, they had to be bigger than us. We killed them off.
Yeah, you know.
You imagine, like, fucking, what's that? What's the fucking Starship Troopers? Giant
yeah.
bugs?
Yes. I imagine that stuff all the time because I was watching that like you know, the day the dinosaurs died. This is
Yeah.
like the kind of guy I am with these documentaries, and it's like, you know, whatever. Everything was gigantic, you know, and then the asteroid came and kind of reset the whole like, you know, order of the who's
Yeah.
going to be who. And I was like, man, can you imagine just like walking around and it's just like everything is like towering over you and your food to everything is like, oh man, this would be crazy.
But they never figured anything out, which is really fascinating.
With the asteroid.
No. I mean, like dinosaurs. They never got super intelligent like people.
True.
That's the real question is like, what was the thing that made the primates become a human being? Because if you look at what happened to dinosaurs, they just stayed dinosaurs. They got effective at staying alive, and then there was no reason to improve. I mean, I don't understand natural selection. This is just me talking.
I
But-
agree with that.
But you know what I'm saying? It's like they
Yeah.
never. as far as we know, they never built structures. They never developed cell phones.
As far as we know, we haven't found that yet.
Imagine we found out they were really smart.
A paleontologist
been
is like-
hoodwinked. They had computers and everything.
But when I was a kid, and we would go like to the Natural History Museum and we see the big dinosaur and everything,
Yeah.
like I was into that. But then I hit that age where I was like, boring. I don't care about dinosaurs. I care about robots. Let's see some robots.
Where's your fucking
And then when
robot?
you go back and like now I'm like an adult, you know, I'm like, oh yeah, I kind of see what they're talking about, yeah, because he's got the vertebrae and you know, so I guess you get smarter when you get older. You have more time to think about stuff. But
Yeah, I brought my kids to the museum in New York a few years back. They didn't give a fuck about those dinosaurs.
they're just there's too much stimulus for them now, like to do.
They're like, oh yeah, big thing.
Even DC, you ever go to all those like great museums? You know, they got all these amazing museums, and it's like after an hour, you're like, okay, well, you know, I got it.
The Vatican was the wildest one for me. Have
No
you been
way.
to that?
No.
It's wild.
In Vatican City?
Yeah, in Rome.
Oh, tell me about it. I'm into that.
It's billions of dollars in art. It's bananas how much art there is.
Wow.
You're walking through. They give you this guided tour, and you're walking through all this incredible art from 1,000 years ago, 1,500 years ago, 1,200 years ago. There's a fucking Egyptian obelisk in the center of this like town court area.
Really?
Where the Vatican is. It's a giant Egyptian obelisk. Like, how did you get this here?
How
Like,
do
it
how
came
do they
from
do that?
Egypt?
Is it like a club? Do they wand you? Like when you go in, like is it like that kind of a scene?
No, you have to. I mean, it's a tourist trap, right? So everybody goes to the Vatican. They have all these tours
Yeah.
to the Vatican, and they just guide you through the Vatican. You get to look at all this artwork. It's wild.
It's a sovereign nation within the
Within
whole thing.
Rome.
They can make their own laws. They got their own money, whatever
you
they
can't
got.
extradite people.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
so
sanctuary.
if you get in trouble, wink, wink. You know,
You head
like
over there.
Sometimes you've heard priests get in trouble.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what they do.
Yeah.
They stick them over there. And they hide them, and then you can't go anywhere, and they can't take you out of there. But it's a great place to live.
Do they have all like pictures of the popes? Like, you know, basically like
I'm
the
sure
Hall
they
of
do.
Popes?
I didn't see it all. But one thing they did have in the center of this area is this huge pine cone. That's how me and this guy bonded. He's like, do you know the significance of the pine cone? I said, the pineal gland, right? He's like, yes.
Wow.
And he was like, oh, he got into it. Because I go, so this is like a psychedelic drug reference. He goes, yes. He goes, it's probably what it was.
Really?
They're not exactly sure, but there's some significance to this gland that they thought at one point in time was like the seat of the soul. And that this gland is like the third eye. And it's on reptiles. It actually has a retina or a lens. Like it's actually it's like placed where the third eye would be in Eastern mysticism. And so that gland is always thought to have these magical properties.
Do you think they use like hallucinogenic psychotic drugs during their
Fuck
ceremonies?
yeah. I think they did.
I think they did.
I think they did, and that's the subject of a book called The Sacred Mushroom and the Cross. This guy, John Marco Allegro, who was hired to decipher the Dead Sea Scrolls.
Yeah.
And this was like a project that took like 14 years, and they were like looking at the oldest version of the Bible. And at the end of this guy was like an ordained minister, but he became agnostic as he's studying theology, and he found the similarities in all these different stories. And he came up with this theory, and he wrote this book called The Sacred Mushroom and the Cross, that the entire Christian religion was really about the consumption of psychedelic mushrooms and fertility rituals.
Really?
And that all these stories had to do, they were all like ways they hid these ancient ways. So if they got like raided by the Romans and like if you imagine, if some people lived, 3,000, 4,000 years ago, and they found a bunch of mushrooms, and they started eating them and tripping balls and have all these revelations where we're all going to come together and be together as one, be loving, and they wrote down all these ideas and these stories, and they first of all passed them down orally before they even figured out how to write things for like 1,000 years.
True.
And then they started writing them down. Like that sounds like what the story would be.
Mm-hmm.
And he traced back the word Jesus to an ancient Sumerian word that means a mushroom covered in God's semen.
No way.
Yes.
Really?
See, it's hard for me to know who's right and who's wrong, right? Because if you wanted to break that down, you'd have to have this like very complex understanding of these ancient languages, and there's no way I
amazing.
can know if he's right.
I didn't even know mushrooms were like. I thought it was like a regional thing. I
No,
thought it was
they
like
were all over the
North
world.
America, Europe. I didn't know it was like everywhere. I didn't know that.
Well, they're definitely all over the world.
Okay.
And there's psychedelic compounds that are all over the world. There's certain places where they haven't found use of psychedelic compounds, where there's not like an extended history of use. But there's stuff like the ayahuasca and the Amazon, thousands and thousands of years.
I think
Mushrooms in Mexico.
I think that we do it, of course, like for the party of it. Like very few people do it for like this enlightening thing. But back in the day, it was like for tea. Like they would make it into a tea.
Yeah.
And that became like let's say you were sick or like you said you were heading on a vision or something like that. But like the way we do any kind of drug now is really not how it was done or why it was done back then. I know that.
You know what happened? They poured water on all that shit in the 60s and the 70s. When they made all psychedelic drugs illegal in, I think it was 1970.
Right.
This sweeping Psychedelics Act, they put everybody in jail. They started raiding people. They clamped down on people and marijuana arrests, all that. You would go to jail in some places for the rest of your life if you got caught selling marijuana.
Sure.
So it was a scary ass time, and they put the kibosh on what drugs were. Because before then, for like most of history, people have used all kinds of drugs. They've used opium. They've used cannabis. They've used mushrooms. And in different cultures, they were part of rituals that they would do. And this guy Brian Murarescu, who they actually opened up a field of study at Harvard about this particular subject because of his work. He found that the ancient Greeks, that what they were doing when they had these like enlightenment ceremonies, they all get together and talk, and what was it called? Eleusinian mysteries? Yes, that's how you say it. They found that they had psychedelic compounds in all their wine.
Oh, really?
So when they were drinking wine, they were talking about wine, their wine had like drugs in it.
Really?
So they were tripping balls while they were drinking wine.
No idea. I knew that wine was like pretty much the only safe drink, because I've been I love those documentaries. Like that was the only like type of water that they would drink because everything else was like people bathed in it. They the animals had whatever in it. So that wine was really the way because everybody's like, oh, they were drunk all the time. It's like no, that they were just trying to be safe.
Yeah, well then that's how they figured out how to be safe. They would drink beer. They would drink beer and wine. Yeah, but these guys were just. What Murarescu is saying is that, like, in these ceremonies, when they're talking about wine, all their wine they mixed with stuff. They mixed with different herbs and spices, and they would also mix with psychedelics, and they mix with ergot. So they're mixing their wine with this stuff that is it's a compound that causes psychedelic visions. It's very similar to LSD. So they found this stuff in these wine vessels. So now they have like definitive proof that these people are doing this. So now they're going over all these fables and stories and all these different ways.
Oh, yeah,
this is how
I
they
get it.
figured out democracy. I mean, democracy came from these conversations.
I totally get that now.
They were tripping balls.
But LSD, that's all man-made, right?
Well, LSD
But there is
is
a natural equivalent, a version of it.
There's natural compounds like ergot. Let's see what's the difference between ergot and LSD. Ergot can kill you too, though.
I don't know.
One of the things it does is it gets on rye, and when there's frosts, and the rye gets like an early frost, and then when it comes back from the frost, a lot of times it's poisoned by ergot if in places where that stuff exists. And that shit is responsible for the 1950s. There was like ergot poisoning in this like farm or this town in France where they had a similar thing, and people started having visions of hell, and they thought they were dying. They were all tripping balls, and some of them did die from the poisoning of it.
Ergot.
Ergot does not contain lysergic acid diethylamide, but instead contains lysergic acid as well as its precursor, ergotamine. So lysergic acid is a precursor for the synthesis of LSD. So it has some sort of LSD-like thing. It says, thankfully, LSD hallucinations are very different from the fiery visions of poor ergot victims.
Wow, has somebody done that? Like,
well,
anybody
these people,
modern, like anybody recently?
Oh, that's a good question.
Yeah,
I don't know. It seems dangerous.
Yeah,
because a bunch of people, it's poisonous. See, ergot. Look at LSD's poisonous precursor. So the people Google 1950s farm France visions of hell. So they got ergot poisoning, and people started seeing like demons and hellfire, and a bunch of people died. It was real bad. It was real bad, where people were poisoned by it. Worse than coronavirus, this mysterious illness drove many to hell in the 1950s. In the 1950s, people who suffered from the illness most likely ate bread made with contaminated rye flour. Most of the victims in France hallucinated visions of hell. The hallucinations were also thought to be witchcraft, and 20
Of
people were
course.
hanged.
Of course.
Holy
Yep.
fuck, man.
Yeah, there you go.
Some of them had tried to throw themselves out of their windows to stop the imagination. Almost 300 people in the region were taken to hospitals, and 5 died, and 60 people ended up in psychiatric wards. But the suffering did not stop easily for many, as some of the affected people again started to hallucinate the visions of hell almost a month later.
So it was the rye.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and it killed some of them. So while many medical experts and historians claim that such mental health issues could have occurred due to rye ergot fungus, a parasite that latches onto rye crops and also wheat, barley, oats, and wild grains, in today's world, this mysterious ill still sparks debate in the medical world. But it makes sense if they could do a core sample, if they could do some sort of sample and find ergot, or find that there was at least evidence of the environment where ergot could grow well.
What a cool name, Hellfire.
So that's also responsible for the the Salem witch trials.
Yeah, it said that.
Same sort of thing. Yeah, which is pretty crazy. But
It's cool to look at these events with the this kind of knowledge.
Oh, there it is.
Oh, yeah.
Historians and chemists claim the Greeks were using ergot as a chemical weapon and a psychoactive drug during the celebrations of the Eleusinian Mysteries, which were the secret rituals of the mystery school of Ulysses and were observed regularly from 1600 BCE to 392 CE.
Wow.
Wow.
Holy shit.
Wow. That's crazy. So they did that for almost 2,000 years. So for almost 2,000 years, they were tripping balls.
How do you come down off of that? I mean, honestly.
Well, I think the Romans put the kibosh on it. I think what happens is the leaders put the kibosh on it. And with Murarescu's work, the book's called The Immortality Key. It's amazing. I listened to the audio version of it, and Brian does the reading of it, which is fantastic because he's a great orator, and he like nobody knows more about this subject than he does. But he said that they moved to other European countries. There's evidence that they had these rituals in other places when they got kicked out of Greece.
Wow.
Yeah.
Dude, I can't believe that. I mean,
Wild shit, right?
yeah, I really didn't know there was anything like LSD because I've always thought that was like kind of the top rung of like
Yeah.
whatever. But yeah, of course the idea has to come from somewhere.
Well, Albert Hoffman found LSD. I think they were working on a drug to induce labor.
No way.
Yeah, I think it was. I think the drug was being developed to induce labor in pregnant women, and then he was working with it. I know I'm fucking this up. I'm sorry if people are listening, but he was working with it, and I think he got it on his hands. And then he went on a bike ride home, and he realized he was tripping balls, and figured out. I think from that bike ride that he had figured something out, and that he had created this thing, and that's LSD.
I know they use it for the PTSD and like
They use it for a lot of things,
There's
yeah.
a lot of like therapeutic ways to use the drug. So unfortunately, I think you got to go. Is it legal here yet, or you got to go to Mexico to do it?
I don't think it's legal here.
Yeah.
It's still Schedule 1, but I think that's also some of the shit they did with mind control experiments and the MK Ultra shit in the 1960s.
Yeah.
They used to give it to Johns when they would go to brothels.
That's like the CIA.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that the
Yeah.
guy jumping out the window.
Operation Midnight Climax.
I guess that's a whole other world of intrigue.
They would hire prostitutes to give these guys LSD.
Yeah.
And so these guys would go to these whorehouses thinking they're just going to have some fun. And then all of a sudden they're dosed up with LSD and people are watching them through two-way windows.
And I guess they were trying to like figure out a way to like break a guy to get his secrets, right? Like
I think they were
if you
doing
can-
that.
Mhm.
I think they tried it as like a truth serum, and then they were going to use it to interrogate people on, and then it didn't really work that way. And then they were like trying to use it to program people's minds, and they did a bunch of experiments with that. That's Timothy McVeigh. No, not Timothy McVeigh. The
Leary.
Unabomber.
Timothy Leary,
Ted Kaczynski.
Ted Kaczynski.
That guy
He
was
did-
a part of the Harvard LSD studies.
Oh well, that makes some sense,
Yeah.
right?
Oh yeah. They cooked his fucking noggin.
Yeah.
I think they cooked a lot of people's noggins.
Wow. Now, would you, if this something was like where you're like, you can't do it recreationally, right? You got to do it like,
I
like
think it could
like
be.
with an expert with you.
Yeah, I think if in a perfect world, we would have centers where you could go and you could do psychedelics under medical supervision with people who are experts, who know the right dose, who have a comfortable setting and have medical staff on hand in case anything goes sideways.
Nice.
That's what you're supposed to do. If you just do an acid that you got from some guy who works at the gas station, who fucking knows what's going to happen?
Wow, I missed that whole boat, I guess. But I would definitely see how the LSD, like, I just heard it's like one of those things like, you want to quit smoking? LSD.
Yeah.
You want to do this? LSD. Like, that's really the way to go, you know?
Mushrooms seem to have a similar effect. So does there's something that's I haven't done. It's supposed to be real rough though. It's called ibogaine, and ibogaine is from the iboga tree, and it's apparently the best thing ever for getting people to quit any bad habits.
Really?
Yeah, if you've got an addiction to whatever the fuck it is, especially like hard stuff like pills,
From
opiates
pills
and
to
stuff.
porn, all the
Yeah,
everything.
all the above. But it's apparently like ruthlessly introspective, and it lasts a long time, and it's very uncomfortable for people.
Is that a South American thing too?
You can get that in Mexico for sure. I know there's a lot of people that go down to Mexico to have those experiences because it's illegal in America
Yeah.
for whatever reason. But it does something to actually reprogram your brain. Google that. How does ibogaine reprogram your brain to bypass addiction or to cure addiction, or at least I think it just gives you an understanding of where it's coming from, like where your impulsive, ridiculous, self-destructive, I have to gamble every day, where is that coming from? And it shows you where it's coming from some way. Ibogaine may work in reversing the effects of opiates on gene expression, with resulting impacts on neuroreceptors, returning them to a pre-addiction condition, which is crazy. Furthermore, addictive loops and pathways in the brain are reversed.
Wow.
Yeah, so
That's
that should be everywhere, right?
that
Shouldn't
would be like
here?
if that was here, that would be $1 billion business. I mean, everybody would be taking that.
Everybody should be. I mean, if you are a person who's addicted to opiates, and there's a way that can actually, if that's true, stop the pathway and even reverse it, why aren't we encouraging that? That seems like we have a giant problem in this country. It's the number one thing that kills young people age 18 to 49 is fentanyl overdoses.
Yeah. That's some scary stuff.
Fucking terrifying,
Yeah.
man.
Hey, let me ask you another question. You know all this stuff. So what do you think of this cold therapy stuff? You know what I'm talking about? Like with people, like we've all done the cold shower, but like, you know, there's people, it's almost like, you know, the cold will not only reset your brain, but it also like with your body, it sends, I don't even know what it does, but it seems like it would work because I've taken like multiple cold showers and I'm like, I do feel like my brain is working better. What do you think of that stuff?
We do it. We have one here if you want to do it.
You have a chill tank?
A cold plunge. Yeah.
Nice.
We got this blue cube.
Like
It's
how
cold
long
as
do you have to
fuck.
do that for that to really kick in? And like you have to do that over like, you know, it's got to be like a lifestyle. You got to do that like every day, right? It's not going to
good.
happen one time.
It's good for a lifestyle. That's why a cold plunge like a Morosco Forge or a Blue Cube, those are the best way. And there's some other companies I'm sure that make them. That's the best way to do it because if you have something that's always cold, you can do it every day. Otherwise, you're going to have to buy ice every day. So
Okay.
unless you have an ice machine, if you have an ice machine, maybe that's the way.
But
And
do you
then
really
just fill
think
the
that
ice in, but it's not as cold.
That's a great way to fight depression and all that kind of stuff?
It makes you feel really good.
It
I'll tell you
does.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And a combination with that and a sauna is my absolute favorite.
Oh, yeah, that's spritz. Yeah, I love that. That's
It's
cool.
To get in a nice hot sauna and then go right into the cold water, and
Mm-hmm.
then you let your body warm up after the cold water. Don't go in the sauna again. Just let your body naturally warm up. And that's where you get the most benefit out of it. And you feel, whoa, afterwards. You feel great.
But you are definitely awake after the cold. I know that.
Yes.
You're
A lot of people like to do it first thing in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
I know guys who are doing that instead of a cold shower. In fact, I think one of the Gracies did like a video about it.
that would help me. That's for sure.
It's a good way to get the morning going. I mean, I think a lot of people do it now. They
It's
just
also
jump
like
in there for
you
a
feel
couple
like you
minutes.
accomplished something, like you faced something that you didn't want to
Yes.
do, and you're like, I did it. Now the whole day's ahead of me.
Yeah, if you can get through 3 minutes of suck to start your day, the rest of the day's suck it's going to be minor in comparison. It's fucking cold in there, man.
Yeah,
It's hard.
you gotta really you gotta just dig in and do it.
You got to tighten up your bowels. Yikes! And then just fucking woo.
Yeah, that's another thing.
But if you do it on a regular basis, there's definitely benefits to it. Definitely benefits to like reducing inflammation and chemicals like this norepinephrine. I think is what gets released. You feel real good afterwards.
There's this guy, I guess he's the cold man, and he knows everything about that.
You mean the Iceman?
The Iceman, yeah. I'm talking about a guy who sits in a bath of coal.
Yeah. I think he has the world record for sitting in an ice bath, doesn't he?
He's the guy.
Something crazy. He did like 9 hours or some shit.
He's like, this is the answer to everything.
Yeah. What was his world record?
This guy, yeah.
Yeah, that's him.
That is fucking awesome. Look at him.
Wim Hof. He's the fucking man. And he's all about deep breathing exercises.
Yeah.
And he's a powerful presence, too. When you're around that guy, you get nervous.
Look at him with the iceberg.
Yeah. He just climbs in water. But it's all his breathing.
Yeah.
I mean, there's courses that he has online where he teaches you his Wim Hof method of breathing. Very interesting guy. Very, very unusual. There's not a whole lot of dudes like him.
That's something I should do.
But you smoke cigarettes.
I know. Well, it would be some deep wheezing.
Wim Hof, oh my God.
1 hour, 52 minutes.
1 hour and 52 minutes and 42 seconds, something most people can only tolerate for a few seconds.
Oh.
How cold was it?
That's like torture. That's like what they do when they torture you.
How cold was the ice bath? That's insane.
Oh, man.
That's so long.
He's getting a CAT scan.
Doesn't say how cold it was.
Like his brain must be wired so differently now from like years of that.
Well, he traversed Mount Everest with sandals on. I'm not kidding.
Really?
Yeah, he had like ice sandals. See, we can show that picture of him. He's in shorts with ice sandals.
Like to pass the base camp all the way.
Yeah, to go to the top.
Holy, wow! Is that? I
See
thought that's
the
suicidal.
Photos. No, he says it's easy.
He didn't get any kind of frostbite. Or
He doesn't
anything?
want to do it again because it's too easy.
It's amazing what you could do if you
Look at
really
him.
have that.
Look at him.
When was that? I was like,
Dude, he's on top of Mount Everest in his shorts. What the fuck? What the fuck, dude?
this is like a North Face.
Look at that. What the fuck?
Yeah,
This guy's out there in his shorts
man.
on top of Mount Everest. Like, what's going on there? And he looks like a regular guy. That's
Yeah.
what's crazy. Like, when you see him, he doesn't even look like an athlete. It's not like he looks like Luke Rockhold or something. He looks like a regular guy.
And it's all.
And he's just like, it's his breathing and his mind. And, he was a yoga instructor at one point in time.
He befriended the cold. Yeah.
He's mastered areas of human performance that most people can't even begin to comprehend. And he's done it through breath work. It's really interesting. Intense guy.
Were you ever that kind of guy, like where you were like a marathon running, like, a run guy?
No, I never did
Yeah.
marathons. I used to run with my dog in the hills. But I was never like a runner.
Yeah, that was like, there's like some people like that's they get that high and
They get
everything
a
like
high,
that.
for
I see them
sure.
every day in New York. That's like, I'm like, what are you doing? Why are you doing this?
They definitely get a high. There's a runner's high that's legit. It's some release of endorphins and all your blood's flowing and your mind thinks really well. So you can clear your mind from a good aerobic. I mean, it doesn't have to be a run, but the idea is aerobic exercise. Something about good aerobic exercise, just it drains your body of bullshit and it gives you like a fresh perspective. Your body feels better when you do something like that. Do you do anything physical?
I go to the gym in my clothes. I wear these same clothes at the gym, but yeah.
Do you really?
I was doing kettlebells for a while, and I felt like that was like a perfect fit for me. And then after a while, I just moved on to other stuff. But like I
Why do you go to the gym in regular clothes?
I'm just like, I'm not a gym guy. Like I never feel comfortable there.
They don't tell you have to wear gym clothes?
No, they're cool with me because I'm like the old guy at the gym. And it's like it's like a fight. It's a fight gym, a lot of Muay
gym?
Thai,
Really?
all that kind of stuff. So it's funny in the locker room where I'm like in my sweaty, and these kids, they're all like tatted up. It's like I always say it's like walking into a Malaysian prison. There's like tigers on someone's back, and there's like crazy eyes, staring at you, this stink eye. But like they're really cool to me, and like the kettlebells, I was doing that for a while, but. To be honest, like on the road, I think I've always gotten the most out of just like jumping rope.
Jumping
doing
rope's great.
Push-ups and sit-ups and things like that. Just stuff you could do in your room.
Yeah.
But now it's like always about like, oh, where's the hotel gym? I got to get down there and do my. It's like that's not for me.
One of my best workouts I ever did in a hotel room. I just pushed the bed to the side and I did yoga. I just followed a book, and I felt so good after it was over. I was like, look at that. I just did it just in this room by myself.
Don't you think yoga is the most misunderstood of, like, I know a lot of people who like, you know, I got to lose weight, so I'm going to start doing some yoga. I'm like, that's not really going to do that for you, you know?
Well,
like, you're talking about a long-term thing here. Like, it takes a long time for that to even take effect on you.
Yoga
you know?
can make you lose weight for sure, but
if you
dieting makes you lose weight.
Right.
That's really what you got to do that's different.
What do you think of this intermittent fasting thing?
It's good.
It's good?
Yeah, I think it's good to give your body some chance to digest things. Oftentimes we're like packing food on top of food that's not even digested yet, and there's more food coming. You know,
Well, I eat one meal a day and I'm still fat, so I really do.
when do you eat?
I eat late, like 2,
Like
3.
after your shows?
Yeah, I won't eat before because then I
That's
get tired.
hilarious.
It's terrible.
So you don't eat until like 2, 3 in the morning, then you go to sleep, and then you do it all over again the next day.
Sometimes it's so funny. Like I'll eat like at 5 in the morning, and I'm
Oh,
like,
my
oh,
God.
this is terrible.
Oh,
and
my
then like
God.
I won't sleep till like 11, and I'm like,
You go to
man,
sleep
and
at 11 a.m.?
I like an adult shouldn't be living like this, you know. And I'm not wasted, I'm not high or anything like that. It's just straight up like nerves, tension, you know, just like, you know, trying to finish something, then forget it, you know, I'm not going to do it, just sit here and smoke, you know. So it's pretty sad, but it's still like I like that weird crazy meal at the end of the day. Like I could never eat before I go on stage. You know, there's a lot of guys
Right.
I know who I work with who are like, yeah, I got to eat like as they're announcing my name, I need to eat something. I need that energy. I was never that guy, so
I can eat like an hour and a half before, but no later than that.
Yeah.
If it gets an hour before I go on stage, that's not good. And you can't eat carbs. You can't
Yeah.
eat, I've done that before. We eat like a bowl of spaghetti and like, oh.
or like a steak or something.
I can eat a steak.
You can eat a steak right
No
before
problem.
you go up.
Yeah. That doesn't seem to be a problem. It's what you eat with the steak. It's not the steak itself. It's usually with me fries and baked potatoes and sour
Okay.
cream.
So
And
I didn't
all-
know you ate that kind of stuff.
I
yeah.
eat that stuff.
Yeah, well,
I
you're-
shouldn't eat that stuff.
Well, you're in the right place. I mean, Texas. I mean, it's almost like a law here. You got to eat that.
Yeah, most of what I eat pretty clean. But I'll go off the rails every now and then with some French fries and some bullshit. But relatively better than I've ever been before. Like I'm pretty good with my diet.
Yeah.
But I like food, man. Food's fucking delicious. I like pizza sometimes. Sometimes I think it's important just to give yourself just a little mouth pleasure. You just got to be careful you don't do it too much. You know, that's all it is. I think moderation's good for everybody.
And do you eat any of those like, you know, what is it like? You know, there's all these like designer dessert stuff. Like, do you do that?
Nah.
You're not a chocolate guy, right?
I like. You know what's great is you ever have Craig's vegan ice cream? You know
No.
Craig's in L.A.
No.
He makes a vegan ice cream. I know you're like, oh my god, vegan. It's fucking great. It's with cashew butter.
Yeah.
It's delicious. It's this creamy, delicious ice cream. It's not good for you. It's got sugar in it.
But it's vegan though, right?
Yeah. But it's like, if you want to talk about like a designer dessert, that one is legit.
To be honest, you know, I drink coffee all day long, and like drinking
Want
a bottle.
some?
Drinking a bottle, I would love some. Yeah, drinking a bottle of water is like a big deal for me.
Right.
I remember one time I was on the USO tour, and we were like in Kuwait or Iraq or something like that.
Cheers.
And it's like to you, buddy.
To you, brother.
It was like 115 degrees, and they're like, "Are you hydrating?" And I go, "Yeah, I'm drinking all this coffee." They go, "Well, you're gonna die because that's taking fluids out of your body. Yeah, you know, you got to drink just straight up water here." I'm like, "Really?" And then I felt like I was like dizzy. I was like, oh, "Where's that water, buddy? Hey, let me get a hose." You know, so
I think
yeah,
you get some water from coffee, but it's also a diuretic.
coffee is
Yeah.
terrible, man. I'll drink it all night. you
I
know.
love it.
You do?
Yeah,
Oh,
I love
good.
coffee.
Good.
I love coffee.
So I kind
But
of see you as a guy like with like you've conquered all these like demons, you know.
Yeah, but sometimes I like to dance with them.
But
Go back and dance with the demon of coffee, especially.
I don't
the
know.
demon of marijuana.
I do know that if I don't drink it, I get like that super headache. You know, of like, where's the coffee? You
I
know,
did that
your
before.
brain. That's a tough thing to quit.
It's a
coffee.
weird one because you realize you're addicted and you didn't know. You're like, ooh, I woke up and I had a headache. I'm like, oh my god. But that was actually sodas. I was drinking these sodas. I got into this kick of writing really late at night, and I would drink these. They had these crazy like small batch sodas they were selling in LA that had like. They were spicy. They had like crazy levels of caffeine in them, and they had like skulls on the label and shit, and all these like wild labels,
like death coffee, right? Like
something like that. But it's filled with sugar and filled with caffeine. And I was drinking those things when I was writing, and I was getting so much caffeine. And then one day I woke up in the morning and I didn't have one. and I didn't have any coffee or anything. And I had a headache, and I was like, "Oh no,
Your brain
I'm
needs it.
addicted. Like I have a headache because I'm not getting the caffeine." I'm like, "This is not good."
You know, when I was a little kid, my mom used to give us a cup of tea before we went to bed. I guess she had like an English thing, like we were little English lords and ladies. But I was like, even then I was knowing like, hey, I don't think we're supposed to be drinking this kind of drink right before, maybe hot chocolate or cocoa or something. But it's like, you know, you're sitting in your bed, you're buzzing, you know, you're like 12, you know. So I was like, I think that's where it started. You know, I need that kind of caffeine going there.
Well, they give you sugar first. Sugar breakfast cereal, that's the biggest jolt of fucking drugs you're ever going to get as a kid.
Yeah.
Remember those?
I love it.
Oh.
And like the only place you see those like old brands now, like you have to go like to a really D-level hotel, like when they give you the free breakfast, you know.
Right,
Like,
you have
oh,
Fruit
there
Loops.
you are, Honeycombs Junior. I knew Sugar Paps didn't go out of style.
I had some the other day. I forget where I was.
Well, Fruit Loops is classic, so.
I just haven't had it in a long time, and it looked good. I'm like, let me try that. I forget what it was. I think it was Honey Nut Cheerios. That's what it was. And I was like, this is fucking delicious.
Do your kids, do they like, because like these kids, I don't even know, I guess they, it took with this organic food thing, like that's like, they love to talk about it. And, you know, is there like an organic omelet or some kind of stuff like that? They don't eat that kind of stuff, right?
They eat everything.
Oh, they do? Okay,
yeah,
that's good.
but they eat healthy. They see us eating healthy, and but we eat bullshit too. I'll let them eat like Cheetos and fucking, have some fun. But it's also like your foundation of what's fueling your body should be really good nutrition.
Right.
So they'll take vitamin supplements, and
They
they're
know
smart. They're
they
smart.
know the
They eat
difference.
healthy.
They know
have
the
good
difference between
appetites.
good meal and bad meal.
Yeah,
you
but
know?
it's also like we don't put pressure. Like my pressure is like I want you to get nutrition, but I also say let's have fun. Let's go have some dessert. Let's go eat some bullshit. Have a churro. Let's fuck around. You know, both those things.
Let's talk about the menu at the new club. What are we thinking?
No menu. No food. Fuck out of here. You don't want food in comedy. It's a
I
terrible
always love when they have
combination.
an extensive menu. Like,
Oh, no.
don't you want to hear a lobster tail as a guy does an impression?
People are clinking and
Yeah.
cutting, chicken parmesan right in front of you. Like, get out of here. That's
You know,
crazy.
you ever work Lexington, Kentucky?
No, I don't think, man.
That's bourbon.
Maybe I
That's
did.
bourbon country.
No, I did. Wasn't there an improv there?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I forget what the name
I
of
think
the
I
club
did
was.
it one night.
It was a little club. They're a great crowd, and I'm, Louisville, Lexington, whatever. It's a cool region, a cool market. You know, nothing like it. But I was like, so what's on the menu here? And they're like, bourbon. What else do you need? You know, it's like, it's like people come here, they're going to drink and they're going to watch you, and that's it. There's not going to be any kind of fancy, this isn't a fancy sit down, It's like, let's get to business. And I was like, good. That's the way to do it.
Perfect. The places with food, I get it. You're trying to make some extra money and also trying to kill two birds with one stone.
Yeah.
Go and have some food, watch a good comedy show. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
But it's not ideal.
Right. It does get in the way.
It's just weird.
I'm just used to it now, like where there's
Yeah.
like the food on the tables, and you can see the people like with the spinach dip,
Yeah.
waiting on the punchline.
But it's fine. That's cool too. It's no big deal. But it's just I don't want to do it in my club. I don't
understand.
mind it. Like if I go to, I'm not a snob. If I
Yeah.
go to somewhere and people are eating, it's fun. Mm-hmm. But it's like, it's not the best way to do it.
Oh, for sure.
It's not the best way to do it. Is your phones are locked up in a yonder bag. You're fucking sitting there and you're just focused. You're having fun. Have a few drinks or not.
Uh,
Whatever.
And when
Have a good time.
you just were at like MSG, right?
Yeah.
Like, yeah. Like there's nothing like that room,
That's a wild room.
Can
It's
you-
a weird room to be doing stand-up in? It just seems so strange.
I mean, I did that 9/11 benefit there, and there was like so many great comics on it. Chappelle closed it out, of course. There's no other way to do it. And like Stewart was there, and Mulaney, and Michael Che. Everybody was there, and it was like they also had like guys like me. We were coming in and doing stuff. It was like the sound was perfect, and like everybody there, like they had a drink maybe or something like that. But there was really no food or anything like that. Everybody was like focused on the show, so
Right.
you could almost feel it because I'm coming from the club world, and you're like, there's a lot of things going on. Somebody's bringing out a fiery dish, all that kind of stuff. So it's like a different kind of game,
Well, you should do more of those big shows because they're
I don't
fun.
know if I could.
I'll bring you with me.
I'll do.
Come on, let's
dude,
do some.
If I'm ever in the neighborhood, I would love to go up.
Come
and just
on, we'll
say
book
hi.
something together.
All right, let's do it.
Let's do it. Let's have some fun.
Let's split the difference. I can't sell out Madison Square Garden, but I think I could sell out the Dwayne Reed next to it. So let's go there. Maybe we'll stop a smash and grab. That'll be great. We can kill two birds with one stone.
I saw a smash and grab today on YouTube. It was wild. They just went into this store and started ripping cell phones off the walls.
It's definitely not Ocean's 11. These kids, they're freestyling it.
Crazy, and they're all wearing masks, which you're allowed to wear now.
Uh-huh.
So it's like, how are you gonna catch them? You like made wearing masks okay, so everyone's wearing a mask and they're just running in there and stealing shit.
This stuff is like, honestly, it's like I never thought this was going to be on the other side of this, but the thing that's really getting me now, and I think you probably will agree, is that, like, you know, I don't know, I hate to be hacky and do kind of a joke, but it's like, I didn't know as Americans we have the right to, like, go to a fast food place, and if there's something wrong, we can hop the counter and beat a man to death. Like, I didn't know that. Whatever happened to just eating what you get or walking away? Like, for somehow this is like some kind of honor killing. You have to confront this man, this poor kid making $7 an hour. You have to confront him and, like, you know, whatever. It's ridiculous. I never thought I would live to see that. It really blows me away.
There's nothing like a late night fast food barn brawl.
Well, this is not
Just
like a punch up, like, hey, what did you say to me at the rodeo? You know, hey, this is like full tilt, like.
But those barn burner brawls where people, like, everybody's piling on top of everybody and smashing, like a barroom brawl.
Like an OK Corral.
An OK Corral
Yeah.
fight at a 2 a.m. Waffle House or something, you know?
The IHOP, everyone's favorite throwdown joint.
There's something about getting drunk people late at night in those fucking places.
And the poor people that work there,
Oh, my
honestly,
God.
it's like they should be getting combat pay. You know,
How
they
often
really.
do you see a brawl at a fucking Waffle House if you work there? Like every other day.
And the people who do work there are like shell shocked. They got that 1,000-yard stare. It's like, what are you having? You know, and they're like looking, like checking the corners. How about just the fact that, like, there's no late night food anymore? Everything closes early. People are
it's
afraid to
fucking
stay
dangerous.
open.
What is this one?
The guy who had the axe, he pulled an axe out of his bag.
Yeah, that was in New York. That's
Yeah.
one of ours.
He's
This
getting
guy
beat up
took
here.
all these punches.
Why is he getting beat up?
I don't know what happened. It's like the same normal thing, you know, like a fight at McDonald's at night.
Then he pulls out the
And
axe.
he's like, oh, yeah?
Yes.
I'm from New York.
The axe man.
He starts fucking everybody
This
up.
guy. And
Oh, my
here he
God.
is.
They
That's
interviewed
him?
him. They talked to
Yep.
him afterwards. Yeah.
Right on the
Suspect.
street. Right on the street.
Look at his ears. You got the holes, giant holes in his
This
ear.
guy is
He went-
ready to
he
go,
went
man.
crazy
He had an
when got
axe
out
with
of
him.
Yeah. You can get him at Home Depot. That's what he said.
He might be in trouble.
Might be.
It seems like not good. But he did show a little bit of restraint letting those dudes punch him.
Yeah. No, it was the whole
What
thing
was
of, like,
going
that's all
on?
you got. He
don't-
kept
yeah.
saying,
The
that's
video
all you
went
got.
viral because of that, but
Fuck,
That's
man.
just
Did you
another
see
day in New York.
The Wawa in Philadelphia.
Oh,
You see
yeah.
that video? It's hilarious. This lady goes, "Are you going to make sandwiches or are you just going to keep recording them?" She wants her sandwich
Can
made.
you believe it?
This
Yeah.
is behind the counter. And she's so nonplussed by this chaos behind her. She's like, "Are you guys going to make sandwiches or are you just going to keep recording them? I want a fucking sandwich.
See,
I don't care about this."
that's amazing because, like, when you're not from Philly, you love a Wawa. You're like, man, this is so much better than 7-Eleven. This is so much better than everything. And then for them to desecrate it like that, oh, terrible.
It's the craziest like group activity in a store that I've ever seen because they all just decided to go nuts.
It's
and it's not a
mayhem.
small amount of people. It's a lot
mayhem.
of fucking people. And they're just grabbing shit off the shelves and throwing shit on the ground. Look at this girl.
Yeah, she wants a
She just
sandwich.
wants a sandwich.
But at least she beat the line. You know, while everybody's distracted.
Oh my God, this is so crazy.
Where's my...
Philadelphia police said they found approximately 100 juveniles inside the Wawa but made no arrests. Why would you arrest somebody? I mean, why make an arrest?
that happened to me when I was at a 7-Eleven here. Just one guy, though. I was going to walk to pay for like a Snickers bar or something, and as I was going to walk up, he just grabbed something and walked right out. And the lady's like, it seemed like it happened on a nightly case, like a nightly basis.
Oh, yeah. No,
I'm
they,
sure
they
it does
can't
now.
stop
Didn't
them
have
now.
anyone there to protect her.
I'm sure people just steal things now because in certain places, like in San Francisco, if you don't steal $900 worth of stuff, they don't even do anything.
They don't.
So it has to be more than $900 worth of stuff. So people are going in there and just stealing whatever the fuck they want. As long as it's not $900 worth, they just leave.
In New York, like that happens so much that, like, you'll see it happen, and then, like, they'll try and be very, like, woke about it, like, you know, hey, you know, people need things, whatever, and then you'll see the same guy from the news selling this stuff, like, on the street, like, walking down, you need some Tide because they're trying to make some money, but at the end of the day, store will go out of business. Like they'll shut it down. Like
Right.
I mean, they are a company. They got to make money.
Right.
So 5 people lost their jobs. You know, there's no neighborhood store now for people to get. So the whole idea of like, you know, no one's really getting hurt with this is not true. It's really incredible to see how bad it is. You know,
It's a wild time, Dave.
it is wild times. They really are wild. And, you know, I feel like I'm too old to boost, you know, like I don't have it in me anymore.
When you see how were you around in New York in the 90s when it was crazy in Times Square?
Yeah.
Is it like that to you or worse?
I think that maybe because I'm older and I'm a homeowner now, you know, like, you know, I'm like, what is going on
With
here?
these kids.
Yeah, these kids. But I think that this is just a sense of entitlement of people allowed to do whatever they want to do, whenever they want to do it, like driving like mopeds on the sidewalk, doing all that kind of stuff. You know, hey, if I feel like, you know, driving erratically, I'm going to do it. If I feel like walking down the street holding like a piece of metal and yelling at people, I'm going to do it. Because it's more of a hands-off kind of scene in New York now, you know? Like just basically like we're not going to get involved until like actually something happens. So, you know, if you got like young kids or a business or something like that, you really are in a bad place at the wrong time, you know?
Jesus.
Like outdoor dining there and guys come up and just start screaming at you, rip something off your table, you know, that kind of thing. I always tell the tourists that come to this, I go, watch out. And I'll go like, you know, the way you're holding your bag, don't hold it like that. It's too easy, you know, like put it this way. They get a little like, whoa, I didn't know it was like that. And the subway's a whole different world down there, you know, that's like, you know,
The
basically.
subway's wild.
Yeah.
The subway's wild. It's wild to be contained. Did you see the video of Henzo Gracie getting in a fight on the subway?
That was cool.
He said he fucked his knee up. I ran into him like
Oh, he did?
Yeah, I ran into him like I guess a week and a half or so later.
Talk about a great situation for what he does. I mean, like that's it. You know?
Exactly.
You know?
And what a terrible move by that guy. Just tell him to speak English. He's like, my friend, you know.
He did the right thing, though, right?
Yeah.
He's like trying to de-escalate.
He
so.
didn't even hurt him. He just threw him to the ground and controlled him and put him in a stranglehold and let him go.
Right.
And told him to apologize.
Well, I don't know if you know.
There it is right there. Like, out of all the people to fuck with, you fucked with Henzo Gracie. That's such a huge mistake. He just controlled him. The dude's trying to punch him, and Henzo's on top of him. He's like, no, son, you're not going anywhere. Head and arm control, half guard, puts a smush down on him, and he's strangling him right now.
Wow. That's
It's just
great.
a terrible, terrible mistake.
They didn't
Out of
roll
all
onto
the
the
people in
tracks.
the world. Oh my God! Thank God they
Yeah,
didn't.
that
That's
would've
what's
been-
so scary.
that would've been really
pushing
tough.
people on the track shit. Hearing about that kind of stuff, like
Yeah, that's New York, man. That's just the way it is. There's a lot of towns like that now, just like where it's like, oh, I guess that's the way it is. Have you been to Portland lately or no?
Portland's wild. Now,
Yeah.
huh?
Portland is so weird that like the Helium Club, they're very cool club, you know, and that neighborhood is kind of like it's like the Warehouse Art District or something like that, and you know they have serious like housing problem there. It's very sad and all that stuff. But I talked to somebody who like you know like whatever who lives there, and I go, so these people are allowed to you know put up like whatever they want wherever they want. And he goes, yeah, and they really you know like. The sad thing is like fires, you know, like something will happen and like,
Yeah.
you know, it could catch fire. So
They're
like,
cooking meth in a tent.
could be.
Yeah, they're cooking meth in a little plastic house. What could go wrong?
So it's like talk about like you know, I don't know, like you didn't see that coming. And I guess,
No one saw that coming.
I didn't see it.
Someone just filmed it the other day and sent it to me that they were in Portland and showed me this road they went down, and all the tents, and how crazy it is and how dense it is. It's like, wow, you're not going to do anything about that? You're just going to let that happen? Doesn't that seem like a fucking safety hazard, a public safety hazard, a health hazard, all the above hazards? Isn't it litter? It's also litter.
It's litter. It's like in New York they have the outdoor dining. Have you seen these things?
Yeah.
It's like
Those little cabooses. that
like
go outside?
it's like a manger.
Yeah.
You know, it's like it's like basically it's like you know you might as well do a reenactment in there. You know,
Yeah.
but like they were having like people having sex in there and
Oh,
all that because they were
Jesus
all making
Christ.
jokes about it and everything like that. But it's like why wouldn't they? It's like too
Yeah.
tempting. I
Yeah.
mean, like why wouldn't you?
There's no one in there with you.
You gotta you know like christen it basically. You know, make it your own. But it's just like filthy and I don't know. I guess you know if people really want the grunge of New York, you're seeing it right now.
Do you still enjoy living there?
No, but
Have you thought about bailing?
I can't. I can't because of my
Right,
mom.
right.
You know, I got to be close. I have trouble being on the road more than like 3 or 4 days because I feel like I can't go overseas. I'm afraid that I might have to
Right.
come back. You know,
get it.
but other than that, like you know where I was thinking? Vegas.
Vegas
And-
is a great place.
Yeah, but then like you know the real heat hits me again, and I'm like I don't know if I could do this 24/7 all
you
year
stay
long.
indoors.
Yeah.
Vegas they got their electrical system down. Do they? They don't have like blackouts in Vegas.
Yeah, no, that's
Think about all the AC they got running, all the casinos, all the money involved. Mm-hmm. They keep the AC on.
And now that there's like weird stuff happening in Vegas, like a deluge of water, like weird stuff like that. Because I have friends who live there, and I'm like, yeah, it snowed here that was like a couple of years ago, and then now it's like, yeah, no, there's like there's water on the floor in the casino, you
Yeah.
know, that kind of stuff. So
They got floods.
I guess they're like in the middle of like you know whatever the climate change thing is happening. You can see it Vegas style, you know.
Well, I think it's they got a long period of drought, right?
Yeah.
So the Lake Mead was drying up.
How cool is that to find bodies in there? Isn't that neat?
Wild.
That is really
Yeah.
cool. We all thought those were stories. Now we see it was all real.
No, there's real bodies in
Mm-hmm.
there, man. They found murder victims, all kinds of shit.
They found
found dudes stuffed in a
boats.
drum. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, they found boats. I think they found like 5 bodies now.
crazy.
Yeah.
Cement. What can cement do?
I mean, just think about what Vegas must have been like during the mob days.
70s, yeah.
Can you imagine?
That's when it was an adult Vegas, not like now where it's like, you know,
Right.
there's like all these little, you know, things to do for kids.
But it must have been so dangerous.
Well, Stanhope, I think that's where he started, was in Vegas.
Yeah.
I think that's like, he's one of the few guys like that started in Vegas.
Yeah,
you
he
know?
did his first. There's a scene there now because you got to think they have the Cellar now in Vegas. They have the Laugh Factory in Vegas. Jimmy Kimmel's, I think, went under, right?
No, I think that's still going.
Is it still going?
I don't know, but they have, yeah, you're right. They have a
Brad
couple of
Garrett.
rooms.
Brad Garrett's got a
Brad
great
Garrett's
fucking
been there
room.
for
Been
decades
there forever.
now. Mhm.
And they have other rooms too. There's a couple other rooms.
Now, let me ask you a question.
Okay.
Vegas versus Atlantic City. What do you think?
I like Vegas better.
Yeah.
I like Atlantic City, but it seems like sometimes it's like a little bit of a bitter, sad Vegas.
But I love Atlantic City just because of the sadness of it.
This is the sadness you like.
It's one of those where, like, you know, you walk out on the boardwalk and you're like, it's immediately a Death Wish movie. You know, for some reason there's steam and like there's people coming at you through the steam. You know, fog, weird. You know, scary sounds, a lot of scary, wang, you know, like weird stuff like that.
We saw quite a few people that looked to be involved in the drug trade.
Oh,
Seemed
sure.
like they were selling and buying and procuring various substances.
That's a hub.
Just walking around out there. Yeah, it's but it's better than no Atlantic City. Like
Yeah, for sure.
shows there are fun, restaurants are great. You know,
But
not
it's
bad.
funny when you like same thing with Coney Island when you
enjoyed
look
it.
at the pictures from the 40s, you know,
Right.
like a guy wearing his big suit, his bathing suit, whatever, and then you look at these places now and you're like, what happened?
How do they fix that, Dave? How do they fix
Atlantic
the
City?
homeless problem in Portland and the tents and the chaos and all the extra violence? How do they fix it?
I have no idea. I'm not that guy. I'm not a big picture guy. All I can say is like, you know, a little good can go a long way. You know what I'm saying? Like, basically, and I'm not talking about handouts either. Like, you know, give a guy a job, you know, that kind of a thing. But
That would probably help.
I would say there's a lot of people that the lifestyle is just like, you know, like we have a lifestyle. There's a lifestyle to live in like off the grid too, and that a lot of people would rather, you know, live in a car and like you know, then have to deal with a lot of these things and do their drug or whatever they want to do, and just like kind of like say, you know, I don't need to be a part of that, and if they can get by on very little, then they'll do it, you know.
Yep.
But I'm not giving them an excuse. I'm just saying I believe in free will, and I think you do too, that people do make choices, you know.
Yeah, I think that's the case sometimes, and also the problem is where they're doing it. Right, just do it on the city streets. You can't just like decide that's where you live. That's
Right.
crazy. We've always had like order in that, and that's why people get along so well. It's like they observe each other's space.
True.
When you have a house in Venice and it's worth $5 million, and right outside your house is like 50 tents. It's
Yeah.
like, who wants to move there? No, you can't sell that house now. And then if now they're allowing people to like go into your backyard, like they
Right.
won't kick them out. They won't do anything about it.
Well, what like you know, the free zone or whatever that was, the free zone in Portland or
Yes,
Seattle, whatever that
Seattle,
was,
yeah.
something like that. And I was like, yeah, these people are like creating their own society. Unfortunately, you know, I got a stationery store near this free society, and I'm basically going out of business. You know,
Yeah.
I got to pull my kid out of college now. I was like, well, that's not fair. You know,
Well,
but
the
don't say
problem
that out
is-
loud. You know,
The problem is they were deciding that it was okay to take over people's property by force.
right?
Whether they realize that or not, that's what they're deciding. The only reason why people weren't reclaiming all their property and going back into that area is because they were scared. So the problem with that is, if you decide that you're righteous and you're doing this for a good reason, what if someone decides that they're righteous and then they come in and take it back from you?
Yeah.
And then you're just legalizing stealing through an ideology. Like, you think it's okay, capitalism is evil and fuck the police and we're gonna run this place on our own. But if you notice what happened, they immediately started behaving like warlords. They attacked people, they pulled out phones, they beat people up. The one person got shot and killed.
Yeah.
And then eventually everyone came to their senses. But the fucking mayor was hilarious. She said maybe it's the summer of love.
Right.
Did you see that?
I saw a lot of excuses for what was going on there, but the one thing that they on the news, they especially try and take some of the meaning out of it, be like, but a free organic breakfast for all.
Oh,
Doesn't matter who
boy.
you, they give them a cup of granola or something like that. Now go out and and beat a guy with a tire iron.
Yeah, we're going to make an amazing society. It's going to grow from here. Like, what kind of crackpot plan of the future do you have?
I don't know.
You can steal the bank and light the fucking police department on fire, and then you can eventually become the best society ever right in the middle of Seattle.
Well, it's weird how, like, you know, back in the day, like, you know, chain snatching. Do you remember that? Like, you're on a subway, you know, you're like a group of people, and some guy come by and snatch a girl's chain off or something like that.
I think it's
And-
popular again.
Well, but now it's also like phones. Like, let me get your phone. Like that whole
Oh,
thing of like,
no.
let me take your your digital life from you. You know, like it's like basically reaching in and grabbing your soul like right out of you. Like now you can't communicate. You know, that kind of thing. So I was always like, it's amazing how they kept pace with just the world. But I guess chains, watches, all that kind of stuff will always be. It's booty. That's what it is. You know. Basically.
Yeah, and you can sell them.
Yep.
You know, you can sell a lot of stuff. People buy a lot of hot stuff.
Luckily, I'm not a bling man. So,
Luckily.
yeah. I don't think I'm gonna have to wrestle a guy for my flip phone. You know,
That thing must have a battery that goes for days, huh?
it's awesome, and it is a weapon, basically.
You can
know,
throw that.
You could beat a man together with.
How often do you charge that?
Every other day. No, pretty much every day. But it's still like, you know, talk about like dropout service. You know, it's like you'll lose them and you'll never hear from them again. You know, that kind of a thing. It's supposed to be like an emergency construction site's phone, but I don't know about that.
Is it like 3G at least?
4G.
Oh, you get
yeah.
4G.
Yeah, it's
There
almost
you go.
like
So you're working. It's working real.
It's gonna work on Mars. Yeah,
Some old guys still hang on, but I think some comics, it's a good thing for them.
it's good for me.
Yeah, it's just,
It definitely is.
You don't want to be connected all the time to
I'm not
everything.
good that way. Yeah.
It's too much.
And I can only imagine, like, you get all that feedback from the show. You know, it's like you can fall into that rabbit hole.
Don't do it.
Yeah, don't do it.
I tell everybody, stay away from the comments. Do you write in front of a computer? Do you write in front of a notebook? How do you write?
That's a good, you know, because a lot of the young ones, they're always like, what's the process? And I'm always like, you know, I've gotten the most out of it with writing ideas down, trying to make it as strong as possible, going on stage, taping it, and then listening to it. And they are always like, that's it? And I'm like, it's pretty much, you know, like kind of like watching your swing, you know?
Yeah.
And like you see what's wrong with it and you can correct it. And it's like, until I hear it on stage, I really don't even know what it is. So the writing part, I used to beat myself up for hours. Like, okay, why am I not Seinfeld? Seinfeld was notorious. He could write it to stage. Like, it would be like almost perfect. And he would bring it on stage and it was done. And I was like, I want to be like that. I want to be that guy. And I never could do it. It would be always like, okay, well, these are funny words and this is a left turn. Okay, I'm up there. Nothing. Then I'd listen to it and I go, oh, I see what I was doing wrong, you know? So it really did help me correct a lot of my, I guess, joke writing. But like in terms of bad habits and stuff like that, that's when you listen to the tape, that's where you hear all those bad habits. Like,
Yeah.
you know, you're saying a word that you didn't even know you're saying. Like you're ending everything with like or something, like some weird noise, like you know, like why is that in there? What why do I do that? Is that a
Right.
nervous tick? So. But how about you? Like, what you said that you would stay up and you would like write out like.
Yeah, today is the first day I wrote first thing in the morning. Because I got up in the morning and I had this like a hankering to write, so I sparked up a joint and I wrote first thing in the morning. So I was writing at like 8 o'clock.
So you write every day then?
I don't write every day,
Okay.
but I write a lot.
You do?
Yeah, I write at least 4 or 5 days a week.
Wow.
and I try to write at least for a couple hours.
That's good work ethic.
I
'cause-
try to just. A lot of it's nonsense. A lot of it's not going anywhere. It's like I'm just blah 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 blah. Bing something maybe later. Check it out later, and then I'll go back later and go over it, and I'll pull that. I'll copy and paste it into a new Word file, and I'll say, okay, like what is it? What's in here for me? And I start writing out shit.
When you said that a lot of it's garbage, that's like that's what it is, man.
Yeah.
It's panning for gold, and it's also like once you do get that gem, like that's when like nothing else feels like that. You're like, wow, where did that come from? I can't believe that. And then you look at all the garbage that you got that you had to get to that. You know, it is like canning. You're like looking for the magical can there. You know.
Yeah, and you know it's just forcing yourself to sit down and write. It's so important. Some comics don't want to do it. They just have the idea and they just kind of want to go on stage with an idea, and that's cool too. I don't think there's any right way or wrong way to do it, but for me, I have definitely found that if I sit down and write, more shit will come out. I will come up with more concepts. I'll come up with more premises. I'll come up with more angles.
The premises is the hardest, I think, because I like my jokes. Like I can change the punchline a million different ways, but it's the committing to like the premise, like, you know, what is this about and how does this fit together? That to me is the real work of it. But when you say like you sit down with pad and paper or on the computer and you're writing, like I would do that sometimes just to basically go like, I want to get out every bad idea I have right now, and I'm going to just sit here for an hour and I'm going to just type anything that's happening to me. I used to do that when I was really young. I would like, I am not writing anything good. I'd write in my notebook just to turn the page, and I was like, if anything, you know, what it does is it just tells your brain that like you're working on this right now and that you're going to focus on it.
Yeah.
So for me, it was good because I'm not a real disciplined guy, but that was like something that I really did, you know, take to early in comedy of like material. I respect it. I want it. I want to be able to have new material all the time. I don't want to waste stage time. So I really committed to that.
Everybody wants it. Just it's like there's a thing that musicians do that we don't do, in that they practice. They don't just go on stage.
Yeah.
They practice. Like, remember Mo Better Blues?
Yeah.
I remember watching Denzel Washington that movie being so, like, envious of that kind of discipline. The discipline to work on your craft all the time, even when he was not performing on stage. He, like remember his girl was trying to have sex with him? He's like, no, I don't
remember it that well.
He's like, I gotta practice. And this is his thing. Like, he was this amazing trumpet player, and he had to practice. And so I remember watching that thinking, man, if we had that kind of work ethic with comedy, like if we worked on comedy like the same way, like that obsessive all day long, you'd have to get better. You'd have to get better.
Yeah, you have to get better, and you also have to, you know, I don't know what to say, but it's like you have to look at the joke. You have to look at the joke a million different ways before you realize that, like, you know, okay, this is like I said earlier, with chunks of material, like, where else can this go? It can't just be a standalone. Like, there's got to be more to it. Right. And that's the thing of, like, bring it on stage and now, like, okay, I want to try it this way. I want to try it this way. I want to try it that way. So, to me, that's when people go, like, don't you get bored saying the same thing? It's like, no, I'm never saying the same thing. You know, it's like, it's always a little different. So
you're always tweaking it,
turning it over, you know, like seeing if it can stand different places in the show. You know,
when was the last time you filmed?
I'm coming up on shooting something soon, but I would say that I did that road work probably like 5-6 years ago or something like that.
When do you think you'll want to do it? When do you think you want to film?
I don't know. I think I'm gonna maybe before the end of the year, maybe beginning of next year. But I know the hour for me has always been tough, getting that much joke like without fat in it. But I would say that the half hour I find so interesting. Like I watched Earthquake's half hour and I was like,
thunderous.
It was great. And
Thunderous.
I was like, he's having fun.
Yeah.
He knows what he's doing. The crowd gets him. They're all having a great time. It's not like this big kind of set piece battle. You know what I'm saying? Like where it's like, you know, the first 10 minutes, you know, and then you could tell, and then it gets to that midpoint of like, now he has to restart the special again, you know, that kind of thing, and then bringing it home. Like, that's difficult. You've done it. It's tough, you know? So I was like, the half hour to me seems the right amount of time for people's attention span, and also for me, with what I do, to get out like what I want to say and then get out of there.
Right. Well, then do that. Would you release it on Netflix? Would you go the YouTube route? What would you do these days?
I'll have to ask you when I get closer because I really don't even know what to do. I really don't have that kind of pull to like, say, hey, I want to do it here or there. But there's so many different types of platforming now that like it would be dumb to really kind of lock it in before you even see it, But I definitely want it to be, a club show, like because that's what I've done, and
Right.
I'm coming to the end of this anyhow. So I want, to kind of go out the way I do it. And
The end of this? What the fuck are you talking about?
well, I don't see many, whatever. People always like, come on, you're like Don Rickles. You'll do it forever. I go, I'd like to, but I don't want to have to, Like,
Right.
you know what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
you don't want to be up there like, oh my God, I got that, I got to pay that alimony, that kind of thing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So anyway, I don't know. I mean, I think Netflix has been cool for a lot of people. I think
Netflix is great.
HBO, all these different places, they all have like, there's something interesting about all of them. What do you like?
Now I think the beautiful thing is your fans will find it, no matter where it is. Like
Yeah.
your fans will find it if it's on Netflix. Your fans will find it if it's on HBO. The question is like, what's going to bring in the most new fans?
True.
And I think there's a lot of people that I know you hate compliments. You're one of the best comics alive, and I don't think people realize how funny you are.
People say that to me, but it means something else when it comes from you. So thanks, Joe. Really, it does.
It's
And I'm not
true.
stroking you or anything.
We
like
all
that.
say that. We all say that. We all love you.
All right, well,
And
thanks, man.
It's the rest of the world should see what the fuck you're doing. So whatever you do, whether you do it on YouTube or whether you do it on Netflix or HBO or whatever, just people need to watch it. They need to get a
That's nice.
get a glimpse.
Thank you.
It's great, man. Last time I saw you live was a couple of years back at the Improv. It was so much fun, man.
That was your show.
yeah,
You had
it was
me
so
there.
much fun.
I didn't tell you how nervous I was, did I? No. I was like, I'm going to be going up there doing jokes and like, Joe's crowd, they want to hear like real deal, they want to hear the shit. And like, I'm going to be doing my dumb jokes. And like, they loved it. They were great. They were so giving to me. And then you went up there, you closed it out. And people don't realize how hard it is to close a show, especially when you're working on material. It's not like you're going to go like, okay, now I'm going to throw down with my best, I'm putting all the, I'm putting all my ammo in. No, it's like you're going up there and you're working on stuff. So I was like, I respect that. And, you and Dave and all these guys who bring so many comics out on the road, I love it. And then you go on at the end. That's tough,
It's fun, though, man. It's fun. It's like we're all having a good time together. And it's also it's my favorite thing to watch, too. So I get to see great comics.
Yeah.
Working with really funny people on the road is the best. You get to see them crush. There's something exciting about it.
There's something like when I think people also, when you were touring with Chappelle and stuff like that, these are event shows. These are like shows that you tell years, for years about, like, I was at that show, I was there. So for the hardcore fan, these are like amazing times for comedy.
It's a great time for comedy in general because I think the world genuinely needs things to be mocked right now because so many things are so off the rails and so crazy on both sides of the political spectrum, the cultural spectrum.
Right.
In terms of like the relationship the United States has with the world, things are so bonkers right now that if you're not making fun of things,
True.
like it's fucking, it's already so high strung and so fucking wound up and dangerous. Like the world is so fucking frustratingly aggressive right now. It's so crazy. There's so much going on with Russia and Ukraine and the climate change and fucking COVID and
Have you done Europe? Have you played? Have you toured through Europe or anything like that?
Not in a while. I'm doing the UK. I'm doing London in October. Yeah.
Okay.
One show.
Oh,
Just want to
cool.
go there, have some fun for a few days, fuck around.
Yeah, that was another thing that like Stanhope, like he was like pretty much the first guy I knew who was like, England and he was doing all that kind of stuff.
He did a film. He filmed a special in Oslo, didn't he?
Well, either way, I was like, they loved Bill Hicks, and he was definitely like, the heir apparent to him, rightfully so. I mean, like there was no one like Doug. So like he would tell me like England and how like what it was like over there, and I've done a bunch of shows like whatever Germany, whatever, all those different places, but I was always like, it's really for the trip, right? I mean, because like, let's face it, these people like they're kind of polite, they applaud or they heckle drunkenly. So, but now I get it. I think Netflix or whatever has made it an international. People get it now. They get what comedy is. So it's probably way better now than when I did it,
They want to see it too. It's like, there's not a lot of American comics that go to those places. So,
True.
I mean, like it or not, there's a lot of great comics all over the world, but it's kind of an American art form in a lot of ways.
Right.
It kind of originated here. In the current form that you and I do it, it originated right here.
They comics come from all over, like to the cellar, and you could see them there, like studying it. You know, it's kind of weird. Like, protect your data, watch out.
That's the weird thing when you find out people are doing your jokes in another language.
How cool is that, though?
So
Who do you
weird.
call for that one?
Who do you call?
I guess The Hague. You got to get the world,
problem is-
world court.
So many people are bilingual. They find out about it and they rat them out. There was a few French Canadian guys that were doing that in Montreal.
But I would give
back
it to
in
the
the
guy,
day.
though. Like, if it was a guy, like, he's like, I've got your joke, but I use tiger instead of, like, makes it local. I'd be like, all right, you can do that. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, how many guys started out in other countries just stealing jokes, and then they had to develop their own act?
True.
Because they were doing that was a problem in like the 90s. I remember there was quite a few guys like that would be stealing jokes in other languages or stealing jokes from comics that people didn't know and doing it in their country where there was no comedy.
Holy, what?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, comedy is now a global thing, but I think for the longest time it wasn't. I think it was like real isolated little patches where you could get away with some shit.
Yeah. No, I think when they come over, I think that it kind of blows them away to see like what it is as opposed to what they've been doing over there. So, tip of the hat for us.
Tip
right?
of the hat.
Yeah.
Well, in these weird times, I think this is like where comedy becomes actually a valuable function in society, to be able to mock things and joke around and have some fun still.
Well, dude, you like basically have done the hard work for us. So, this is like another like one of those. I wanted to say this to you for a while, but it's like, you like years ago when I did Letterman, how like impressive that was to both friends and family. And that I told people I was coming on this, it's the same reaction. Like, they love you. They see this as an important thing. And I totally agree with them that, like, you've done a lot of heavy lifting for all of us. So thanks.
But it was easy. It wasn't heavy lifting. It was just hanging out.
I don't know. You're taking the hits, basically. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're like, you're fighting the good fight, and we're all like, right behind you, basically. So
Well,
thank you
very
for
much.
taking the hits.
My pleasure, brother. It's a fun and exciting time in a lot of ways. I think people are going to come out of this on the other end more aware of the pitfalls of certain types of thinking and behavior and what we tolerate and what we don't tolerate, and that there needs to be some sort of order in society.
True.
It doesn't mean you're bad because you want some order. It just means you want people to be peaceful. And that could be worked out. But there's a lot of shit that needs to be worked out in this country that just doesn't get addressed. Like, why is all this crime originating in these areas that have been impoverished forever, and why aren't we helping them? Why aren't we helping fix those spots where all this crime is coming from? And there's very little effort put into doing that, but so much effort put into helping other countries. And it drives people nuts.
Yeah.
When it's not that we shouldn't be supporting Ukraine, but where was all that fucking money when you wanted to fix Baltimore? Where was all that money to fix Detroit? Where was that all that money to stop all the fucking street violence in south side of Chicago? How do you fix that? Why isn't that being addressed like whole scale, like the entire country? Why aren't they looking at like all these spots where they're typically riddled with crime and violence? What do we do to mitigate that? How do we do it to make this place safer and better for everybody that grows up there?
Well, I know in New York, like, kids on like mini bikes and ATVs and stuff like that. That like until you've been circled by a group of teenagers on an ATV, like it really does, like, you feel that moment of like, this is like the wolves and you're the wounded buffalo.
Yeah.
And it's like only you can turn towards one, but the other one's going to, so you really have this feeling of almost prey, I guess you could say, So I was like, yeah, this, when I was a kid, we had an area to do that, but these kids, they live in the city. So I guess this is their, like area to do it, but it still is like, it is terrifying. And I guess, part of that's being old. The other part of it's like what you just said, that like, why is this going on? Why isn't anyone talking about it?
It is wild. And people don't know that in New York, they're confiscating them and destroying them.
Are
There's
they?
video of it, and people are like, why are they destroying those? Like, you don't understand what's going on in New York. Like, these guys are just riding these on the streets.
I just give these kids, like, they really are great consumers, like, it's just amazing. Like, the coolest thing they will get somehow, and like, they will wait online to get it too. Like, I've seen kids wait online for sunglasses. Like, I never would do that as a kid. Like, I don't care. Like, I'm 15. I got to have the best pair of sunglasses. I don't care. Whatever. I'll put my hand over my eyes. I don't really care. But for them, it's style, it's showing, it's swagger. So, if that's how they live, that's fine. But we all don't have to be a part of it,
Yeah. You definitely don't have to be a part of it. the dirt bike thing's wild. Like, where are they getting all the dirt bikes from? Is there like a black market of dirt bikes where they're shipping them into New York City because they know kids will buy them?
And is that really the best way to put their paper route money to good use? What about the college jar?
These
Put
guys
some
are
money in there.
selling meth. They don't have a paper route.
But it's just funny where it's like 50 guys on mini bikes. You know, it's like you might be able to outrun them. Probably not, though. But when they circle, that's really.
Is that what you saw? You saw
I've seen
50?
that. I've seen it a couple times. Yeah, it's like basically like a parade. Like I saw one actually when the Queen went down, and I'm like, I didn't know they cared. It was like a missing man formation. It's like, wow, I didn't know they were into that. You know.
I remember they used to organize these motorcycle gangs. And they would like kids on those like Kawasaki Ninjas and shit like that.
Yes.
And they would all those like fast bikes. They would zip around town and like a giant group of them, and people would panic.
Well, that happens too. But this is just basically like kind of a stroll, like we're like kind of doing like a New Orleans funeral here. You know, like just blowing through the red lights. And as a driver, you're like, I better be careful. These kids are not stopping. You know, so
They just blow through red lights.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. They feel, ow,
What happened?
it's my leg.
What happened to it?
Sorry.
You got a cramp?
Yeah,
Really? You all right?
I'm all right. What a great time.
Work through it.
I am. Get the cold bath.
You know what someone told me once? I don't know if this works. If you pinch down on your tongue, it alleviates a cramp in your leg. So pinch down on your tongue. See if that
It's
works.
not working. No, it did.
Does that work? Find out if that works. Is that an old wives' tale? Maybe it's like, what's that stuff? Like reflexology? Might not be real.
No, I'm good.
You good? You back?
Yeah, that's another thing for not drinking water.
You cramp up? Okay. Pinch lip. Oh, it's your lip. Leg cramps or muscle spasms may be triggered by an overactivated nerves. Other people have described a similar technique. They recommend pinching the center of the upper lip right under the nose for a minute or two. How do they know if the cramp doesn't just go away?
Yeah.
You just concentrating on a new thing?
I don't know, but I think I just shit my pants. Sorry. But anyway, yeah, so that's what it is.
So that's what it is.
Yeah. I'm glad it happened here and not out on the street.
You're back?
I would have been.
Has that happened before?
Oh,
Leg
yeah.
cramps?
Oh, yeah. Leg
You
cramps.
should take liquid IV. So electrolyte
I knew
drink.
you'd have some kind of
We got that
potion or
stuff. It's good for you.
lotion for it.
Yeah, it's good. It hydrates you. It gives
How do you have all this time to like do this stuff?
People tell me things.
Oh, okay.
And that's one of the sponsors.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, Liquid IV, they've been sponsored forever. It's good stuff. Take it before I work out. Take it after I work out sometimes.
I'm just going to whisper a prayer into the ruins here.
Are you back or are you cramping up again?
I'm good.
Okay. Scaring me.
Yeah. Wouldn't that be weird to go down here?
That would suck.
That would get some
Don't
good
do it.
views, though, wouldn't it?
No. We'd edit it out. No, we wouldn't. Unless you wanted me to. Would you want me to edit it out?
I don't know.
It seems a little disrespectful.
You think?
Yeah, for you to just croak in front of everybody.
Let me stand up and see how it works. This is better.
You good? Do you have like a sciatic nerve thing going on?
No, I think what it is I had a hernia operation,
shit.
so I could feel it like with my bowels moving around differently,
Oof.
And then it usually happens when I'm on the toilet, like where it's like, oh God, and then there's a lot of cleanup. Honestly, it really is sad.
You cramp up?
Yeah, you cramp up, and then it's all over the place. But
You want to end this? Are we good? Are you
on
okay?
Yeah, let me sit down. So, like, just in case you do
Are you
want to
okay?
take it out, I'm fine. Yeah, but it was a lot of sitting,
Damn.
So maybe that was part of it too.
These are.
I noticed my
pretty
knee
good.
goes out on a plane now. Does that happen to you?
When you sit on,
Yeah.
on a plane? Or
Yeah.
what happens?
I feel like my knee, like I have a knee injury, so it's like I just feel like my whole leg is like can't feel it for a minute, and then it goes like numb, and I'm like, oh, it's my knee. I know it's like my knee, and that's just from sitting constantly on a plane.
Yeah, sitting with a knee injury is not good. And then when you have to get up, it's stiff. Yeah.
Well, what can you do, right? Battle damage.
Yes. How'd you hurt your knee?
I think
Kicking ass and nom?
Yeah, I think I was a repo man. I was the third guy in on the.
I was the door kicker.
I wish there was a cool story. I think it was I was a fat kid trying to get over a hobby horse in gym. It's like, come on, Tubbs, get over that. That was back when you were allowed to, shame a fat kid.
Right, back
come
in the
on,
good
sugar
days.
tits, get in there.
The good old days. Where's the fat male models?
Exactly.
Come on.
Yeah.
How come?
That
How
is a
come not?
guilty pleasure show, My 600-Pound Life.
Is it? Do you like it?
Tell me somebody who doesn't watch that.
I don't watch it.
You don't watch it?
No.
You got to please take a look.
I get sad when people are that fucked up.
Oh no, I'm totally sad, but it's just amazing how they get through the. I mean, like, can you imagine being able to like function without moving? And these
No.
people have figured it out. It's like they're like basically like a jellyfish. They're like kind of floating through life, you know.
It's so bad.
But it is sad.
when
True.
they get like glued into their couch.
Yeah.
You know, those people, their like body integrates with their couch.
Yeah.
And then you're like, how are you shitting? Like, who's cleaning?
Well,
What's going on?
they are very it's graphic because they'll show the person like, I have to take a shower, I'm going to see doctor now, so they'll show them get up and like blur the areas, but because they're already kind of blurred, you know, physically, that like you're like, what are you blur, you know, and then you'll see them shower and things like that. So it is definitely not an OnlyFans moment, you know.
It's human beings are so strange in that there's certain like patterns of behavior that people get stuck in where they just can't stop eating or they can't stop gambling. Like there's people that just
It's
like
emotional.
they can't stop
psychological.
whatever it is. They can't stop. They can't stop watching porn. They can't stop whatever the fuck it is. They can't stop. They just get trapped and they just can't stop eating. It's wild.
Yeah.
It's a wild thing. Like what is going on? The calculating aspects of the human brain, and all the emotions, and all the different hormones, and all the cascade of neural functions that are all these things that are happening simultaneously, and then something leads you to just want to just stuff your face all the time, and you can't stop. It's wild.
Yep.
It's just a wild thing that the human brain can vary so much. You know, you could be Elon Musk, who's running 5 different corporations, or you could be a guy who's like sitting on a couch who can't shit.
Yeah.
He can't get up to shit. He has to shit where he lays. Mm-hmm. Like, and then one day it must be like, I can't get up to shit anymore. I just have to shit right here.
Right. And, you know, it's also like really hard on their family, too. It's
Oh
like
my
any
God.
addiction. You know, they suffer as well, so.
Well, and also it's oftentimes a lot of people in the family have the same addiction.
True. That's the kind of, you know, household that it was. You know, food was the answer for a lot of things, so.
See, I'd rather watch Swamp People.
I watched that, too.
That to me is wild.
And Naked and Afraid. I love
Naked
that
and
show.
Afraid's
Do you watch that?
I've watched that a few times.
You know what? You know what my biggest revelation is?
What?
Naked and Afraid is like these people. They are all professional survivalists, but you take away shoes from people, and we are right back to cave people. Like whoever invented shoes or sandals. This guy, like honestly, this person, whoever it was, like
We owe them
that.
a lot.
That really like gave us at least. Not equal footing with the animals, but like we were able to move around without like ow, ooh. But supposedly back in the day, our feet were like rocks. Like honestly, talk about like, you know, you could like step on coals and like it wouldn't bother you. So
You ever see what feet look like of people that walk barefoot through like the jungle?
Like a
Their feet
hand.
Yeah, they splay out.
oh man, crazy.
It's really wild. Pull up some of them feet of people that live like they develop these muscles in their feet that are just like a thumb muscle. They push down on stuff, and so when they're moving around things, they have like real contact with the ground. We have these like bitch ass like feet that have been in a cast our whole lives.
I have terrible feet too.
Look at that. That's
Yeah.
crazy, man.
Look at that. Like a hand, like a hobbit, like a hobbit
Crazy.
foot.
Crazy. And imagine how strong those things are. They
He
probably
could, like-
choke you to death with
he
those
could, like,
things.
Like whatever up a tree, just using his feet. Like you can't really do that. Yeah.
Right. They probably have like incredible grip with their toes. What is
Ugh.
that?
Well, that's I
That's
don't
like
think.
a disease. What
Yeah,
is
it's
that?
like leprosy or something.
That's it. That's the feet.
That's weird.
What is that? What does it say? Huarani Indian? How do you say that? Huarani Indian with splayed feet.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like my friend Steve Ranella. He was in I think he was in Bolivia, someone like that, and he found a bunch of people that lived like that, and they were walking around barefoot.
You're not going to be able to croc your way through that kind of a foot. That foot is like a stallion. You can't break that foot. That foot will never be in a shoe.
Imagine that foot with them pointy toes, dancing shoes.
Oh my God.
Oh, what is that?
Wow.
The ostrich tribe of rare.
Oh, like the
two-toes.
lobster people.
Wow, but it's only their feet. Wow. So it's quite
Amazing.
a few people. Quite a few people have that.
That's
What is
crazy. Wow. Dude, what a way to end it, huh?
What a way to end it. Weird feet.
Yeah, man. you ever put like a ball on and like you step on it,
Yeah,
like
those are
that kind of
great.
thing? Yeah, that's like that opens. Talk about like opening your brain, man. You feel like, wow, I can, do algebra or something.
You know what I started wearing recently is shoes with a wide toe box. I've been wearing those more. I got these fucking things on right now. They have like they're ultras, I guess.
Yeah.
They have like a wide toe box, so your toes can move around.
Oh, that's
at the
good.
front. Yeah.
Yeah, no, my feet are terrible. It's like that's another like I guess you could say like occupational. Like I don't know, I guess standing on my feet.
Yeah.
All the time. Whatever. It's just not. I could just feel it like by the end of the it's like, oh man, not good.
Do you think you'll ever get to a point where you're on a scooter on stage?
On a scooter. Oh yes. That would be good. Because clubs now they have that lift. So I was like, oh, we got to do it.
Disneyland scooter. Just
That would be
scoot up.
that
with
would
a
be
drink
awesome,
Right
yeah.
there.
That would be great. And the opener can wheel me out. Here he is, everybody. Watch out. I'm taking off the tarp. And then there he is.
Would you have the opener wheel you out, or would you do it? Would you have one that's remote controlled? Like,
I would like to do, well, with me and the smoking, so I'll probably have a tracheotomy by then, but I would love to do crowd work, like, where are you from? Like, what's...
do they still do those?
What?
These things where you talk
I think so,
with
yeah,
the
with
thing
the-
under your
with-
throat.
Hey, everybody. I have two. So
How,
you got,
how have they not come up with an artificial throat?
yeah, like, and you can change your voice, like,
We're working on that.
like one of those, learn a language things, like one of those apps.
You can roll your R's.
But yeah, no, I could totally see that happening. I bought a new walker for my mom, and like the one that we got was like off road, so like now she can really go anywhere. So it's kind of cool that like it's got these big mag wheels on it. Like she's like basically it's like an APC of like walkers. Like she can like handle like
Remember those things that everybody would scoot around on, like a hoverboard with a
the
handle?
hover-round.
What were those things called, Jamie? Segways.
Yeah.
Remember those were going to take over?
Yeah, what
That was gonna be-
happened?
The Segways went away, and
only
they got
s-
replaced by the scooter.
I still see them every day in downtown Austin, like on tours.
Yeah, like
Oh,
you
they have
can
Segway tours?
a Segway tour.
Yeah, that's the only place.
That's
I've
San
ever seen
Francisco,
them, but
too.
yeah.
Didn't somebody famous eat shit when the power went off and they went forward?
And they got hurt.
I think, like, with those things, the problem is if the power goes off, if it dies, it just like you're on this gyroscope,
Oh.
right? Was it like George Bush or something
Well,
like that?
the millionaire owner of the Segway has died after falling off a cliff.
Yeah,
while riding
the
one
guy
of
who
those
invented it.
Segways.
He's an
Oh,
interesting guy. This
no.
guy's like a mad inventor.
He fell off a cliff?
Sad story. He's an interesting guy.
Oh my God. He died in a scooter cliff fall. Holy shit. Riding one of his firm's motorized scooters, he fell off a fucking cliff.
Or was he pushed?
What does it say? Oh, hold on, go back to that. Segway boss died in an act of courtesy.
He was
What?
trying to get out of the way of a dog walker.
Oh
so-
my God.
Wow.
Trying to make way for a dog walker, and he went off a cliff.
Man,
Holy shit. And on that note, ladies and gentlemen,
that is
David Attell,
sad.
performing all around the world.
Joe, great to see you.
Always
man.
good to see you,
Yeah,
brother.
You were not wrong about George Bush, by the way.
Oh, it was George Bush.
Yeah.
Oh, so he did eat shit.
Oh.
Somewhere.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, he's a bike guy, I thought.
Oh, man. Imagine doing mushrooms at Bush.
All right.
Joe, thanks for having me, man.
David Attell, you're the man. Love you to death.
Can I shout out to the fans? 'Cause,
Shout out to the fans.
for all of you who've come to see me. Thank you so much for basically. Well, thank you, Joe, for getting the word out on me, and I appreciate it because they definitely come down. They said you got to go on Joe, and I'd love to hear you on Joe, and Joe talks about you. So thanks for basically.
You're one of the best comics alive, man. And please, people, go see him. Where are you playing next? Where you at?
Well, I think I'll be heading over to get my leg cramp. Give or take a leg cramp.
Keep it stiff.
Where
upper
we
lip.
play next time? I don't know. It's up there on my site,
DavidTell.com.
Yeah, and
There it is.
I got a
So
lot
you
of
have the
dates.
DC Improv coming up next October,
Yep.
first weekend of October. DC Improv. Oh, Skankfest.
Yep.
In Las Vegas.
That should be fun.
Mark Ridley's Comedy Castle in Michigan, October 2021. Beautiful. Louisville Comedy Club. All those are up. Helium coming up in St. Louis. All those are up on DavidTell.com. Go see him. He's the fucking man.
And Joe, I
you,
can't
brother.
wait for the club to be open.
I'm excited to have you.
I definitely want to come out and
All
check
right.
it out, dude.
We'll have some fun.
Honestly,
Thank you. My pleasure. Bye, everybody.